I took on the project of trying to comment on every single free agent signing there was. Now I know some people were going to take that as a project to find the holes I'm missing, but I thought the excursion was very well thought out and interesting.
I saw you that 1 week hand build 150. Like, I still thought this was crazy for you.
Yeah, but truly, I'm going to do that hand build again. I really enjoy it. I do enjoy very exhausting kind of task. I don't know why. Well, I kind of have some ideas. I really like the kind of grassroots getting in, doing the dirty work and that kind of grind. I will say, speaking of which, we do have a partnership again with Kevin Clark um, of his podcast, and he was formerly of PFF, went off and did his own thing. He gave us a free subscription to his website, which is usually a paid subscription. So he's going to allow us to basically cover the off season from a data and analytics standpoint. Outside of that, though, I just really wanted to open up the floor to just let you guys flow through your emotions, talk about free agency, talk about just the happenings of what's going on in a free flowing kind of way. And I know by doing that, we're going to talk about every relevant fantasy topic, every relevant fantasy player, and conversations will just start from there. So, without further ado, go. I can just pull up the wheel. You got a nice little visual for us here. I got a bunch of player takes, so we can just start off if you guys are ready.
Let's do it.
All right. A lot of shit been happening. Let's.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
Now, are we talking about departures from this conference?
Everything that happened in the. We can go team by team. So,
Okay,
the
fair
big
enough.
story is going to be what's been going on with the Steelers. Like, let's get that out of the room. AFC North. Let's debate. What do you guys think is the bigger story? Henry to the Ravens or Russ to the Steelers?
Definitely Henry to the Ravens.
Derrick Henry. Yeah.
Like, I think Henry to the Ravens makes the Ravens better. I do not know if Russ to the Steelers makes them better.
That makes them better, but
like, they're all in on Russ when you trade Kenny Pickett away too. Like, that's.
It's also important to note that the Steelers have Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator, which I am not excited for Russell Wilson and the rest of that offense. I think
That's why they got rid of Deontay. Like, they're going to probably get a really good weapon in this draft and not use him because it's Arthur Smith. Like, they're going to draft the next Bijan and not use him.
Well, they're already not using George Pickens, and that won't change.
Exactly. They already have Drake London. They're going to draft Kyle Pitts and not use him. Like, that's basically what Pittsburgh's going to do.
Yeah, and what I really hate about Pittsburgh's offseason is them signing Patrick Queen to honestly quite a big
I like
deal.
those moves. Like, I do kind of like those moves.
It's just they're paying so much at linebacker already to pay another one.
To be
when your
fair,
defense is already good.
The way I've been watching the league, like, if a really good linebacker is important.
I agree.
Like, as much as we're wide receiver heavy and people think that means corners and safeties, a really good linebacker that can cover and still be the dude who helps the defensive line run block, that's insanely hard to find and good. Like, the teams that have that are top defenses.
But they already
it's just like 10 years ago. The top defenses might have, like, you might have a shutdown corner. You might have a Patrick Surtain. You might have a Jalen Ramsey. But the top defense, you might even have a really good pass rusher. You might have a Myles Garrett. The top defenses have a fucking beast linebacker core.
And you get no offensive line help. The thing that I will say is to salvage a third-round pick off of Kenny Pickett still isn't. That feels like
somebody.
That's such
Everyone's so afraid of getting fleeced by Chicago, like Carolina was. No one's going to get fleeced, but they let Pittsburgh fleece someone for Kenny Pickett.
Like a third-round pick for Pickett. Now, I'm not saying that it's the same because obviously age matters and whatnot. But Mac Jones went for a sixth.
I mean, we'll get into it later, but like, there's a lot of quarterback movement in this year, and mostly of like guys who have gotten their time and have proven to be okay, but they're not starters. And now all of a sudden they're in backup roles. Ritter's in a backup role. Pickett's in a backup role. Mac Jones is in a backup role. Like all these guys who are like, okay, you can actually play. Maybe you're an NFL caliber. You shouldn't start for a team, but you can be a backup. Like all these guys are starting to get to those backup roles just off of trades this offseason. It's crazy.
There are going to be a lot of people that talk about player movement. I want to mention quickly, the Browns made a sneaky good hire, I feel like, with Mike Vrabel, bringing him in basically as a consultant. They're calling it a head coaching kind of vacancy, kind of a fill-in role, but having him and Jim Schwartz on the same defensive staff, I think, is
no. And then even them going and getting Jameis as the backup to Deshaun, like a guy is talented, but he's probably not a starter. And all these, I think every team quarterback, there may not be this top talent at quarterback. There's not as many Mahomeses and Josh Allens and Lamars, but every team this year is going to be double stacked. Like they're going to be all the teams that don't have a top guy will be super deep at quarterback.
I do want to mention with the Browns too, getting Jordan Hicks and Devin Bush at linebacker, the interior linebackers that were severely lacking, I think that's a huge movement.
And Cleveland had a pretty good defense, but they didn't.
Not to mention Jerry Jeudy,
right? Them adding Jeudy to this offense to be on the other side of Cooper, I don't think there's much. I'm not a big fan of Jeudy. I agree with Steve Smith. I don't think he's much.
I agree.
But he's better than Cedric Tillman or whatever the other rookie they were trotting out there last year. You now have Cooper and Njoku and a legitimate third option.
Yeah, David something. I forgot
David
the other
Bell
rookie
or something.
David Bell. That's it.
Yeah, he's better than them by a little bit, but he's better than them. That upgrades the offense.
He already has familiarity with that defense as well. He's a bring back.
Well, while it's on the screen, though, let's move over to the Ravens. Importantly, they keep Josh Johnson. They keep the quarterback that they like. They get Henry.
You lose Gus and add Henry. Oh, my God. With all the injuries they've had, if Henry just is healthy all year, he will make their running back room.
But most importantly,
which is hard to say in a running back room that's highly fantasy relevant.
Most importantly, though, they keep Matabuke. I mean, it's a massive contract, about $25 million a year.
4 years, $98 million.
Yeah. This deal was a must-happen for the Ravens, I feel like, and they managed to get it done.
Yeah. I hate the Ravens personally, but, they've made some good moves.
Yeah, and to get Derrick Henry for only $8 million a year for 2 years, that's kind of. I know Henry's not the same as he was his rookie year, but that's kind of a steal in my opinion.
He got money. There's definitely running backs on much lower deals, but Henry's going to be doing pretty good. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, and there's one more team we haven't hit on, the Bengals. I don't understand the direction they're trying to go.
No, they've had some weird stuff. You let go of Mixon. Well, no, you trade Mixon
for a sixth
and get Zach Moss. You add Zach Moss, and you're in a draft where I wouldn't really draft a running back this year.
And T. Higgins is basically
he wants to be traded.
Yeah,
he wants to play on the tag.
Yeah. This is classic Brown family shit.
Yep, they're bungling it. They're about to bungle Joe Burrow's bullshit.
Yep. They have three tight ends that they
Burrow
signed.
And Chase, and they're about to bungle it up.
Three tight ends that have proven to be
Is it bad that I kind of saw this coming? Because now where's Tyler Boyd going?
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, what? This is awful. This is worst case scenario for the Bengals.
The Bungles are. That's why I call them the Bungles. They are the Bungles. They're bungling this shit up.
Yeah, it's
been
sad.
The Bungles for many years. They were the Bungles with Andy Dalton. They were the Bungles with Carson Palmer. They're the Bungles, and they're bungling this up.
I didn't want to come off as a homer here, but I just don't understand their moves from if we were to look at their moves as a ladder and okay, maybe you get rid of Mixon because you want to give Brown a chance to be the lead guy, or you get rid of this guy so you can promote within your organization. But they've given up on defense. They've given up on their most talented players, their ageist players, their identity. I don't know what this team is. they even gave up on a
Right.
DJ Reader, who I think is fundamentally one of the best defensive tackles, who doesn't even have a marquee name. Like, he's a marquee player.
And Logan, it gets worse because they signed Sheldon Rankins to a big deal, 2 years, $26 million.
Yeah,
It just makes no sense.
I mean, I'm a fan of DJ Reader because I'm a football guy and like I'm a textbook guy, but like that's not a marquee, like sexy, like show-stopping name. You should have been able to, I feel like, entice that guy with just the right culture and the right mindset. You know,
based on all these really short contracts they're giving a bunch of free agents that aren't sexy signings at all, I think they're going to blow up this team within a year or two.
Yes.
They might have to, which sucks because like Joe Burrow's legit. Like you actually have the ability to build a franchise team around a guy, and
that hurts too.
And like getting rid of Mixon actually was the smartest move they've done. And it's not like you let him go or cut him, or like you traded him and got something in return that you can get some value out of it. But to fuck up this receiving core and not keep the defense together, like
if this was your plan, you got to trade Higgins by the trade deadline last year. You needed to trade Higgins. Like the second the season was over, you needed to trade Higgins last year and get whatever you could out of him to start preparing for this year and have as soon as Burrow gets announced out for the year, you should have traded Higgins.
I don't understand why they didn't either. That would have been a smart thing to do. I mean, before the
technically,
deadline.
Burrow came back and then was announced out after the trade deadline, but Burrow was hurt early too. It's like when your quarterback's hurt early, why fight the uphill battle in a year when everything's going to go to shit if you don't start making moves? I would have just started making moves, but
right,
they didn't.
It really does remind me of like what the Lions did with DeAndre Swift. It's not to say Swift wasn't talented. The Lions knew it, but they knew like their equity with him was waning. Like they weren't.
We couldn't pay him the money. You weren't coming to give him a contract. We can definitely as talented as he is, we could move on from him. It's like it was the thing you had to do when you knew you weren't going to compete with him.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like you respected him by sending him to Houston too. I'm sure that's what he wanted.
Yeah, Mixon, the Bengals. Oh boy.
But that's what I mean. Like, at some points, they did smart things and like, okay, I can at least see what they're doing. They get rid of Mixon. Maybe Brown is the future, but then it's like you don't even try to get Reader back. Like you let him go to a Dan Campbell hungry defensive team, and like you knew that the Lions had a sell job ready for him. You knew it. So like if you let him out of the building, there's a good chance he doesn't come back. I don't understand what they were doing.
I don't think the Bengals do either. This is like I said already, this is classic Brown family bullshit. They always cheap out. They always overthink about the accounting and the contracts, and they don't make it as miserable as they used to for their talent. Like Carson Palmer had to fucking retire to get out of that damn team.
Well,
but it's different now.
Logan, it's before you get into that. DJ Reader, who is significantly better than Sheldon Rankins, signed a deal for $1.5 million more. Same years, the difference is $1.5 million.
Yeah.
You can't match that? I'm sorry.
Well,
that's shameful.
They could. Yeah. They could have, and they chose not to. That's what I'm saying. That is the consoling part about it, is they could have, and they chose not to.
Yeah.
Evan blames the ownership in that. They deserve some blame, just like, other bad organizations deserve blame and vice versa. But also, they have delusional players. Like Joe Burrow is a delusional man. He said that like the window is not closed with him as quarterback. When all these
if my quarterback doesn't think that way, I don't want him.
Like that's the thing. Like Joe Burrow is the one good thing they have, but they should be building around him with the pieces necessary. You already have sort of a blueprint because you've done it before with Burrow. If you give him the receivers and he can be protected, which was your big problem, was that you got a extremely lucky offensive line year that lined up with all of those great receiving options in Burrow coming in together, and they ran it to a Super Bowl. So that if you just give him weapons in an offensive line, the offense will be good, and you're still not built like – you should have traded Higgins so that you could have drafted a receiver and traded Mixon to get depth and had salary cap room so you can sign offensive line. Like
And
they should have been doing all these moves, and they've done nothing.
Respectfully, we know Joe Burrow loves his tight ends. You're going to tell me their starting tight end next year is going to be Mike Gesicki. I like Mike Gesicki. We were talking about this before the show, but this is not the way to go about this.
It's Drew Sample.
Yeah,
No,
it's Drew Sample. It's Drew Sample. They paid Drew Sample the same amount as they paid Mike Gesicki. Drew Sample's just.
But I don't want to just dwell on this one division. But I did want to mention, this will be my last statement, is like, I know that you want to cheer for Joe Burrow, but I'm saying that there is some delusion. Like, Patrick Mahomes has made his team better by taking better, smarter contracts. Tom Brady did the same thing. There are quarterbacks that know what's better for the franchise. Matthew Stafford, was willing to take a trade to get out of, Detroit because he wanted to leave that organization in a good spot. I just think coming out and saying, like, don't worry, I'm the quarterback, I'm the savior here. I don't like that approach.
That's how every top 5 quarterback thinks.
And to be fair, like, a lot of those guys you were talking about, when they got their big contract after their rookie deal, and then they were still good, and they did that with their teams. And Burrow is still young where he's getting that deal. So you have to understand, you're going to give him a bag real quick, and the team's going to get worse for a sec. You did it to Mahomes. You gave him a real good bag on a 10-year crazy deal that can be restructured over and over again. Yeah. But he still got a shit ton up front, and they weren't able to sign Tyreek Hill and other shit for a year. And they're still really hurting from that. But he's restructuring, and it's going to start getting better. You can re-sign Chris, like, all that's going to start being able to happen as you restructure. But you had to take a year or two where you we're going to lose some stuff for a year because we gave Mahomes the bag. Burrow, Cincinnati's got to go through that with Burrow, and they already can't financially deal with the rest of their team.
And look, I want to be transparent. If Joe Burrow proves me wrong, I will eat crow. I don't like that guy.
I think he can, but he's the shining hope for that team.
So, Logan, just before we move on to the next division, I just want to come back to your original point. You brought up that I brought up the way the Brown family does ownership, but you pushed it over to players like Joe Burrow. Are you trying to say that it's more the players' fault than ownership's?
I think it's a modicum of just dysfunction, and I think there needs to be a culture change. You're all right. I'm just saying I don't think there is one blame. Just like success, like the Lions' success is not because Dan Campbell came in. It was because of Brad Holmes came in. Then the players bought in.
It started with ownership change, so let's be honest.
But it can start one thing, but you have to have all things firing. Otherwise,
if the issue starts from the top, the issue starts from the top. That's the thing.
There's no way around it. They got all the marketing chips.
But I still need my feet to walk, so I still need the bottom too.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, execution always matters, Logan, but I don't think execution is the problem here.
But yeah, no, and they had no, I'm not a huge fan of their coach, but his culture was there, and it feels like it's shattering. Because there's nothing, no one understands what's important in the building.
We just disagree fundamentally, and that's all right. Like, we can have different opinions, but I'm just telling you, good organizations have good bathrooms too.
They got to the Super Bowl in 2021 with that team, though. Not the exact team, but
they had
with the same
literal miraculous run where
no one believed
right.
Them,
that organization shouldn't have had that run. The offensive line shouldn't have had that run. And all of the rookies coming together, they're rookie second year, shouldn't have everything weirdly gelled that year, and it put the spotlight where everyone, if they didn't already know that Cincinnati's facilities are horrible, they know now.
Yep.
Spin that wheel again, Gov. Give us another.
Pull it up on the screen.
I was about to say, I've been waiting for you to pull it up. I'm not going to spin it without the audience knowing who we're going to fucking talk about.
Really, this is just a launch point, but I do think we're covering some interesting stuff.
Yes! Oh, here it is. Oh, snap.
Evan, take lead. Evan, go ahead.
All right. Oh, where do I start with shopping spree that my Bears have been on? First, we got Kevin Byard is our first major signing. It's safety, which is a nice veteran deal that should be an upgrade from Eddie Jackson. And Jonathan Owens at safety, Gerald Everett, DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen was the latest one.
Yeah,
So
stealing him for a fourth. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ryan Bates.
yeah,
Lots
Col-
of offensive linemen.
Coleman, Shelton, Matt Pryor. Yeah, we needed offensive line help so badly, which anybody who knows anything about football already knows. Oh, Lord. But I'm very thrilled with the shopping spree so far. I don't want to get into the whole quarterback drama that surrounds my team so far, but I'm going to stick to the free agent signings. It's been fantastic. And we got back Dante Pettis, who was a key player for our tank season in 2022.
Dante Pettis, yes.
He was almost Justin Fields' favorite target that year. That's how bad it was before DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have Keenan Allen paired up with DJ Moore, and I really like. I know a lot of people are not high on DeAndre Swift at running back. I fucking love the talent he has to bring to the table.
Everett's a solid receiving tight end too.
Out of all the big running back names, he got like the cheapest deal outside of Henry. Well, he matched Henry, I think, but just
I think
different.
Eckler got the cheapest deal, did he not?
Eckler's got the cheapest deal, but I'm talking star running backs that people actually care about right now. Not guys.
Eckler
looked awful last year.
That's
what we have to go off of.
Yeah, but aside from that, I know that Swift didn't exactly get the best usage with the Lions just because the coaching staff wanted different things from Swift that he couldn't match.
He could have definitely had like 5 more touchdowns had it not been for the tush push.
And on the Eagles, that's what happened.
I don't know if he takes every touchdown the tush push had, if you give them all to him, but he definitely gets a bunch more.
Yeah. And I think the Bears are going to stick with a more committee approach, so I could see Swift getting like 70% of the carries tops, but I think he's definitely going to be starting as the goal line back unless somebody else proves to be better at it.
Yeah, draft a 4th round running back who's a goal line guy maybe and see how that goes, but they have built the formula now.
Well, they drafted Roshan Johnson last year, and I think he's going to be the backup to Swift. Yeah. I don't know about Khalil Herbert anymore.
I'm still double dipping, to be honest, but that could just be me.
And you could be right now. Say Swift is the guy you're most excited about on offense, but a lot of people are going to have free agent podcast, or they're going to go through signings. We don't have time to go through every signing. So if I said, hey, you have to open up a restaurant, and you have to tell me on your favorite Bears or the things that you think matter, that most people are not going to be talking about. Like, what is on your menu of Bears topics after the free agent signing? Is it Swift? Is it what are you most excited about? What do you think it means?
You said after the free agent signing. Like, what point in time are you talking about? I don't understand the
I'm
question.
These players have put their signatures on a bunch of pieces of paper. Fans are excited, but what does it actually mean for the season? Like, what kind of fantasy insight, what kind of dynasty insight, what kind of impact are they going to have?
So that's going to depend on what Shane Waldron wants to do with the offense, because once again we have a new offensive coordinator for the umpteenth time in Bears history, in addition to not even knowing who's going to be throwing the football. So there's still a lot of question marks on the table, and I can't give you a great answer right now. We still have a lot of unknowns.
Well, I will say this. We know one thing about the Bears GM. He's a businessman. And the Justin Fields thing is a business decision to save money, it feels like. So I'm assuming, now, coaching and ownership matters, but I'm assuming GM-wise, they probably want him traded.
Honestly, we don't even know. That's the thing.
Yeah,
because...
and if the Bears inside don't know yet, that's a problem.
Well, it's not a matter of just them like shrugging their shoulders. What I mean is that the Bears have been in a position this whole time where they don't need to trade Fields. They can afford to see what kind of deal they can sit and wait on. But as the news has been coming around, it's within the top 10. I think it's the top 10 draft of this year. 5 of them are supposed to be projected to be quarterbacks. So that's partially why the whole market is not great for Justin Fields in a trade right now. I could still see Steelers coming around now that Pickett's gone, but that's the thing. I'm still shrugging my shoulders because I don't know what the team's going to do.
They're not going to come around with Russell.
They're definitely pulling offensive weapons for
as a Patriots
fan to go around Fields, or if you're actually going to draft Caleb. I honestly don't know, but like at least Chicago's making moves. Like, they're gonna do something.
Yes, I agree.
For once, I don't think they're going to be incompetent because they're actually going to do something. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, and not many people do right now, which is why it's hard for me to give a straight answer. Why I sound so wishy-washy about it.
They're being very, very shadow with it. Yes.
Yeah, and that's Ryan Poles has been the best
tight.
GM in my lifetime so far. I remember some really shitty fucking GMs that we've had. Phil Emery, Ryan Pace, Jerry Angelo. I hate all of them. So,
Evan, you know this show to be a very we're not afraid to dive into the controversial topics, the kind of emotional impasses that we have as fans. Do you think the Bears owe Justin Fields a resolution? Like, do you think they owe him a trade within a certain time? Do you think they owe him hey, we're going to take this guy number one, so out of respect, we're going to move you to X team? Or do fans, not even Justin Fields the talent, but do fans deserve that to transition?
I mean, the thing is though, when you're in a management position, no matter what sport you're a general manager of, you can't afford to give away too much information because you lose your trade leverage. So it's not a matter of what they owe us; it's a matter of what do they have to do for the best direction of the ball club. So. That's why I keep throwing my shoulders up. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know.
we could speculate Bears all night, honestly.
Yeah. Logan, how about your Lions? Let's move on to them.
We got better.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good take. That's a good take though, because you signed Marcus Davenport, going to be a very underrated signing. DJ Reader's another great signing. You get Reese Maben to stay. Carlton Davis. The defense is significantly improved. It's going to be crazy good, and you keep your long snapper.
Oh,
getting Reader makes the Lions potentially a top 3 defensive line.
You're not even adding Davenport to this though. Davenport is so good off the edge when he's healthy.
I really like the Graham Glasgow signing too.
It was imperative because we lost Jonah Jackson, which I knew was probably going to happen based on where that young man was and his ascension and where he thought he could go for himself financially. There just wasn't any way where we could structure a deal that made sense because I felt like he was going to get overpaid if we tried to keep him based on what we needed for him. But for him to be the franchise player and to prove himself, he needed to go somewhere else. And he wasn't going to get that opportunity with us. Because Penei Sewell was always going to be better than him. Taylor Decker was always going to get more shine. So if you're going to pay him like a franchise player, he needed to be a franchise player, and he wouldn't have been with us.
Yeah, no, and another signing that while we're talking about that is you get Dan Skipper, who has been known as a swing tackle in the NFL.
Yeah,
so,
very, very underrated swing tackle.
Yeah, very, very underrated. I think he might have even had a stint with the Patriots. I could be wrong about that. My Dan Skipper history isn't great, but that's a good signing there.
You know what free agent signing I'm kind of happy for the Lions about that no one's talking about? Zonovan Knight, because when you have a two-headed monster of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, Monty's getting a bit older, and I don't know how much longer he's going to stay healthy. So to have that third running back like a Zonovan Knight, I liked him a lot on the Jets.
I was actually going to disagree with you. I don't even think he makes the roster because we brought back Craig Reynolds.
Craig Reynolds doesn't impress me, though. I think Knight's better.
Yeah, Knight has the ability to beat out Craig Reynolds. I will give him that. But
it will come
Craig
down.
Reynolds is definitely going to be
work
the front runner. He is a guy who knows the system. They know him well. He does complement them fine. But Zonovan will have the ability to come in. They paid him to come in and compete.
Yeah, they did.
I do like he's got talent. We'll see what he does as a third string. And you're not asking him to do much. Not like you're asking him to compete against fucking Jahmyr. Can you beat him out? No. You're asking him to beat out Craig Reynolds.
And the biggest move for the division, we probably haven't even talked about, Josh Jacobs goes to the Packers, which completely threw me off guard.
This is so unlike the Green Bay Packers, too.
And
they never do this.
And they get Xavier McKinney. That's two massive signings
they
really
lost
help a young quarterback.
But they lost the best running back in the deal, which is Jones. Jones is better than Jacob.
I just
He was playing like it at the end of the year. I agree.
Healthy, I might I don't
yes,
know.
when healthy,
I think Jacobs is better. And I like hold off when you hear me say this. I do think Aaron Jones is healthier than Jacobs more often.
Which is
Yes, I know. Aaron Jones has missed a lot of games. I still think he's average more healthy than Jacobs, but I think Jacobs is a more talented back. Honestly.
They're close.
They're very close. It's a coin flip for me who I think is better, but I do think what we've seen at their peak, Aaron Jones was probably the best running back outside of McCaffrey at the end of the season last season. I don't think that's disputable.
I led the show by talking about a move that I felt like would go under the radar, and it was, Mike Vrabel going to the Browns, and I talked about how we got to have players accountable when you think of it, traditionally as one thing or the other. It's really a combination of things, and that's what Dan Campbell has done with Brad Holmes. They've built this kind of civic center kind of mindset where it's like everyone contributes. Even Dan Skipper got a mention on this podcast. Everyone contributes, and that is what entices people to come back at reasonable amounts. And that's what the Vikings haven't been able to do, in my opinion. Is if you look at the Vikings, they should have Justin Jefferson already sold up. I don't care what you got to do to make him happy. You gotta just.
It was re-sign Kirk, and they messed up. I don't think Jefferson re-signs on a long-term deal.
I don't think he does either.
See, not bringing back Kirk's okay to me because he's coming off an injury. He's older, but when you have a generational talent, you don't let that go. The Lions even did that with Kelvin Johnson, and we were terrible for a good portion of that period. He made declarative statements saying, "I'm getting older," and they still wouldn't let him go. When you have a generational guy, you lock him up.
This is classic Minnesota Viking football. I just want to say that for the record, too. They fucked up the same with Randy Moss.
Yeah, my thing is, though, I feel like everything the Vikings have done has made them better, except they lost the most important glue piece that they had in Kirk. And they lost Danielle Hunter, actually. So, no, they lost their most important offensive player and their most important defensive player.
You think Kirk is more important than Justin Jefferson?
I'm sorry, no, that's wrong. I'm sorry, but you get what I mean.
He's not more important than Justin Jefferson, but a stable quarterback is extremely important to a team, and to have to restart that and that is not something that you want to do for a young receiver.
Yeah,
unless you're going and getting your stud. And Minnesota's not in position to go and get their stud unless they're about to trade for Justin Fields or something.
Well, no. Here's the thing. They just traded to get into the not late. It's 23. They traded to get 23rd overall pick in the draft.
Mid to late third round. Or mid to late third round.
Yeah, first round. That tells me you're probably attacking J.J. McCarthy.
It looks like Jamie.
I've been hearing that there's not going to be McCarthy's the fourth quarterback off the board, and he'll be off before 10.
I've
been hearing that.
Highly doubt that. We've heard that a lot of times so far, and that's never happened. Guys fall. But I just want to get back to the Aaron Jones thing while we're on Vikings. For the Packers, it makes sense because you're resetting your clock. Aaron Jones is 29. Josh Jacobs is 26. They're just resetting the clock for Jordan Love at running back. And that's why that move makes sense for them.
Well, the underrated move with the Packers to me is the youth development that you already have with the wide receivers. We talked about the Vikings not keeping their wide receiver core happy, not keeping that offense functional, not bringing back Kirk Cousins. The one thing that the Packers do is they realize, hey, we still got a young quarterback that we developed and love. He's got the youngest wide receiver core of anyone in the league. And we don't have a ton of money invested in the position, but they all love each other. There's a real chemistry to love. Our podcast is not the best podcast out there, but we like each other. So when we're vibing, good things happen. And I do think that's a good thing that the Packers got going.
The Packers have had one of the best. And did they keep Jair Alexander? They still on the team, right?
I think this is his last year, if I'm
Yeah,
not
so
mistaken.
you're telling me they have one of the best secondary name-wise, at least, now that they signed McKinney, along with Alexander. They have, a significantly good running back room still. Now it's young with Josh Jacobs coming over.
They
You
did
got
lose a lot on the offensive line, though. They
uh,
lost a lot.
listen.
I
I cannot count losing a part-time left tackle as losing a lot when he.
Yeah.
When's the last time he played?
No, losing Runyon was a big deal.
I was wrong about Jair Alexander too. They have a potential out next season with a $19 million dead cap, but
Bakhtiari,
he's
never
locked
played.
in through 2026.
I'm not even talking about Bakhtiari. Losing that whole offensive line was not a good look.
Did they lose a bunch of it?
Yeah, they lost Runyon too.
I mean, that Packers offensive line was also kind of shitty compared to what Aaron Rodgers used to have too.
Well, that's because Bakhtiari
that is
didn't
going
play.
to hurt them, but like they do need to address that, and they may.
Yeah, they have a draft still to look forward to, though. I love the Packers offseason so far. I think they've pretty much
They're
played
in
it
the
as
right
perfect as
direction,
you can. Because I don't think they need to make any huge splash, like, obviously Jacobs, McKinney. Those are big signings, but those aren't going to end up being like the headline. They'll be forgotten signings, I'm sure, soon enough.
That's the thing, because like if you're the Packers, I've got my quarterback and I got a lot of young receiving talent to see who's going to be the guy with him. So you can just make a bunch of not big splash moves that just slowly make your team better.
They played it perfectly. As to where the Vikings have done the complete opposite, and I don't know the direction
they bungled it up.
Yeah, they bungled. Again, another team that completely bungled. But that's it for this division, right? Unless you guys have something else on it.
If the Bengals lost the AFC North, then the Minnesota's losing the NFC North.
Yeah, no, there's no way. They're not going to be the favorites for a long time. And Xavier McKinney is the one signing the Packers had that worries me the most because their secondary has usually been trash. Like Jair Alexander is one of the most overrated secondary guys in my opinion. And adding Xavier McKinney is like, shit. They're going to add another good safety to their team. God damn it.
Yeah, they're going to be a force. I mean, come December when it's cold and you're going into Green Bay, that's a tough game.
Yeah.
Whew, that's a tough game.
So, way to fuck everything up, Minnesota. We love you for it.
All right.
Next division, baby.
Yep. Let's go. So much news. What came out?
Oh, here we go.
Damn, okay, I swear to God, people, this is random, but they're giving us like goddamn like zingers right out the gate. Although so much has happened, there's stuff to talk about with every division.
Saquon Barkley, I'll just say this, could have a Christian McCaffrey-like impact.
Oh fuck, you're not wrong again with the Eagles. Now, I do think Jason Kelsey's a big deal, but I also like if the rapport gets built, I think center is one of the easier offensive line positions to
If you get one in the first round, you're pretty much like, I don't know if there's any first round guys. It's been a long time since a first round center was a bust.
Yeah.
That is just a fact.
But like if they just go and like make sure the offensive line is still good, which it was freaking really like it's the Eagles, so they have a really good offensive line.
Yeah,
I think they can turn stuff around. They got all the weapons, like Saquon from Swift. Like even if they get rid of the tush push, oh my god.
Well, yeah, no, they upgrade with Saquon. They bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, which is a big deal because that was a huge weakness for them.
I like that addition a lot too because I think that's going to be a big loss for the Lions.
An underrated sign. Well, the Lions didn't play him too much last year. He was hurt for a long time. An underrated signing is Devin White, who has been inconsistent, but also we've seen him be one of the best linebackers in the league. When they were a winning football team with Tom, and if he's bought in thinking they can win a Super Bowl, I think that might mean he'll play better. He might just be one of those guys. I don't like this Bryce Huff signing. I think that's a major overpay to try and replace Cox. I will say that.
Well, they put a lot of money into youth in that position, like with a lot of their young infusion. So they're hoping that the young players pay off. I do think this is kind of a prove it year for the Eagles. We are going to see I think that's probably the hottest seat of anyone in the league is the head coaching position in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, Devontae Parker, they signed him. And I think Devontae Parker's a fine wide receiver. But over the last 4 years, he has ranked dead last in wide receiver separation every year.
He doesn't have to do much. You're bringing in Devontae Parker to be better than Quez Watkins.
So, but he's good enough to play. He is a jump ball guy. How are you going to defend A.J. Brown and Devontae Parker
and along with Julio Jones?
Along with Devonta Smith.
And Dallas Goedert.
And God forbid you have a guy like Jalen Hurts go down. Your backup's Kenny Pickett. Now this team is good enough to win with Kenny Pickett.
I would agree.
And that's what's the most scary because Jalen Hurts, he has a lot under his legs already. He's got a lot of wear and tear on that body with this tush push and everything.
Yeah.
So
I think agreeing with that statement too with Kenny Pickett, people will be like, "Oh well, how would you know that he sucked on Pittsburgh?" Yeah, because he had Matt fucking Canada as his OC. You try succeeding in that.
It's not that Deontay Johnson's bad by any means, but that's not AJ Brown.
No, of course not. But that whole offensive system is all kinds of fucked up.
Yeah, it was all fucked up. The running back room was fucked up. Like you said, with Deontay Johnson, how they use George Pickens, that's fucked up. Like,
yeah, everything was wrong in Pittsburgh. So I think Kenny Pickett, God forbid Hurts goes down, I'm still very confident that this Eagles team will make a playoff push. That's how good this team looks.
Oh yeah, I would have them winning the division next year. Honestly, right now, knowing we'll talk about the other teams in the division, but I have them winning the division right now. Now,
well, let's get the boring team out of the way.
I was about to say, where do you want to go from here? Because we can go from
what the hell are the Cowboys doing?
Their biggest signing is Eric Kendricks.
They let go of Tony Pollard, and they signed no one. So they love Rico. They really love Rico Dowdle.
Apparently. They let go of Tyron Smith. They let go of Michael Gallup. They let go of Van Der Esch. I can't pronounce his first name right now. How do they not regress significantly?
Yeah, they definitely will, unless Dak is just Mahomes and we don't realize it, which I think we all realize that we definitely know he's not Mahomes.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge Tyron Smith defender. I'm not gonna come to bat for Tyron Smith by any means, but he played 13 games last year, which is pretty much the most you're able to get out of him at this point in his career.
I'm not even saying this to be funny. The news coming out of Dallas in the last, I would say 30 hours outside the departures, obviously, when you lose a talent like a Smith, you're going to hear the name. But in terms of acquisitions, the thing that they were most excited about on Twitter was that Mike Zimmer was able to convince basically his friend and defensive believer, basically, that Eric Kendricks could switch teams. So he committed and then decommitted and then came to play with Zimmer. And that was the big selling point. That was the candle for them that evening. Now Eric Kendricks is a good veteran presence, but if he is your selling point, I don't know. That kind of tells you where that team is, in my opinion.
Hey, Gov, I have a quick question for you. Did the Panthers ever replace their GM?
No.
Okay, so the Panthers right now are the only other team besides Jerry Jones on the Cowboys who don't have an active GM.
I don't
Jerry
think
Jones
Patriots
pretends to be the GM. Well, the Patriots, I think, still need to hire one too, so that makes 3.
I agree. But that's a different issue.
No, we did. Who did we sign this off? Hold on. Let me.
Well,
I was about to say, my team is so in flux because it's
we'll get to the Panthers later.
Let's talk about Aaron Donald later, though.
I was about to say we can talk like fringe stuff.
We gotta
about him
go
anyway.
to
Like,
we gotta
Giants.
we gotta go to the
Giants
Giants.
making the trade and like having the DN.
We want to do Giants
So,
next?
Yeah, Giants.
Might as well.
The trade for Brian Burns makes a lot of sense, but I don't. Again, it's another offseason that confuses me because outside of Brian Burns, your next biggest name is Devin Singletary and then Jalen Mills.
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock.
Well, hold on again, another laughing point, another moment where you
I'm
want
a
to laugh.
dude. Like, come on, don't do that while I'm drinking. Jeez.
Honestly, though, I want to get you guys' reaction
Lord.
because I'm not laughing. This is honestly what he was told. He was going to come back to the Seahawks, according to my report. He came to the Giants because he was told that you will compete with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that's pretty sad that you have to have a $40 million quarterback
And
compete with Drew Lock.
maybe,
Not to bash Drew Lock. I'm sure he's a great guy, but really?
and that's why I never believed in Dable, because he either believes that's the case, that Drew Lock is going to compete with Daniel Jones, or he's lying to either Daniel Jones or Locke, and I just don't believe in that toxicity. You know what I mean? Like, that's
I
my
feel like
problem.
it's just the business of the NFL. I feel like you get lied to a lot in the NFL.
I don't care if that's if I am a good if I'm a good club promoter and I run a strip club and it's not known for being the classiest organization, I'm still going to run my organization the way I want to be represented. Like, my place would still be above board. We will go through the health procedures. I have the cleanest strip club in the industry. So,
But the Giants have been a mess for a decade.
If not longer.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but like Roger Goodell, snake. I don't like that guy. But if I work for him, my organization, my portion, my control of that team would be really well ran. I couldn't control anyone else, but I don't know. I don't like Dable. I don't like how he chews out his quarterbacks. You know, I don't really cheer for this team. I was the best thing to come out of the Giants is Saquon Barkley is not a Giant anymore.
Yeah, and they didn't even extend an offer to Saquon. I think that's the right move. It was time for them both to part ways.
I'll be honest, I don't really have a fandom approach to football anymore, but I promise you, I do. If the Giants were never to win another game in my lifetime, I would not blink an eye.
Now, another big, well, the last team in this division. If it was 2018, man, the Commanders would be looking great right now.
Before we get to the Commanders, Gov, are you sad about losing Brian Burns?
I am. I really am. I like Brian Burns, honestly. But our team is going in a different direction. Like, when we get to them, my team has made a fucking decision, and okay. As I've said, I'll know more in 2025 when we have a first round pick. But yeah, okay.
Gov,
Brian Burns is a legit good, like, he is a legit threat and a terrorizer of quarterbacks. All right. The no matter what, the Giants are going to have a better defense next year because he's on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. But, like,
Gov,
Spider-Man was my boy.
I'm going to pay homage to your respect to Brian Burns because I do think you'll agree with this. You said you liked him, like I say I like Matthew Stafford. Like, that was my same reaction when we got rid of Stafford. I liked him. I knew it was time. I didn't love him, and I knew his limitation was there. That's exactly what
I wish we could have. I know we still got stuff in the tank. I know we could use him if we could ever make a run. I also know we're going in a different direction.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing about Stafford too. It's like, I knew he had something left in the tank, but he didn't have anything left in the tank for the Lions, and I think that's Brian Burns. His motivation for that Panthers team was not there. The only mistake the Panthers made is not trading him earlier to the Rams, consequently. But I do like the trade for both teams. I actually
honestly, that is the biggest mistake, is not trading him last year for the first round picks and only getting the second, and like,
that's gotta hurt. I mean,
yeah,
that really
it does. It does. That's the thing. I feel like we got fleeced for the first round pick last year, and then we got fleeced for Brian Burns this year. But it does allow us salary cap room to do things that we've started to do.
If the Panthers have a good draft, which I think they will, because I'm a big fan of Bryce Young, I will bet them to win the division.
Sorry to have to smile about it, Gov, but I appreciate those first-round picks. It's really helping the Bears rebuild.
Right. I totally forgot.
Yeah, now you have to hate Evan.
Like I forgot we got Dan Morgan.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to the last team in this division?
Commanders.
Yeah, the commies.
Is there
what are we gonna talk
starting
about the
quarter?
commies? Hold on.
Is there? I mean, I know they're drafting one,
Missing the Google
but
guys.
Marcus Mariota right now is the only quarterback on the roster, if I'm not mistaken. Which I like Mariota as a backup. That should be fine.
I mean,
Otherwise,
they're one of the teams I expect to draft a quarterback. Like, when does Washington pick?
they're two. They're two. They will draft a quarterback.
Yeah,
they're number two.
They're one of the ones that's about to get like a McCarthy or a Drake May.
It looks like
Jake,
Daniels,
what is it?
actually.
Jake
Yeah, it
McDaniels
looks they like Daniels. Yeah, that's what the reports are. But then Bobby Wagner signs there for God knows what reason, besides coaching there. It's
Why
so
not?
weird to
Worked
me.
in Blazing Saddles.
You got another Panther, Jeremy Chin, coming over here.
Uh-huh.
I like
Zach
him too.
Ertz.
He was a solid safety too.
I
Zach
love Eckler. I really do. I love it.
Getting Eckler on a short deal to see what he can do is actually kind of nice.
That's a good contract for Eckler,
Especially
but,
since like
man,
we already know the role he could take on, and I believe like if you say you're going to be the backup and just take the Antonio Gibson role behind Brian Robinson, like
That's the right
okay,
thing,
smart move, get your money, play an extra couple years, be effective. Go.
I don't want to take the conversation too far down the running back rabbit hole, but is Brian Robinson really the future for the running backs with the Commanders?
I really
the
don't.
way running backs going, why not?
Who cares, Evan? Like,
He's
honestly,
got strong legs and he can run a specific way, and you can complement him with a pass catching running back.
yeah.
You know
build
what the
a
future
committee
of running
with that.
back means, right? The future of running back generally right now means he's going to finish on his rookie deal, not get re-signed, and then they're going to draft another guy.
Or if he does resign, it'll be cheap as the backup somewhere that has a guy on a rookie deal they use.
The reason I say that way, though, Evan, is the same way that Steve Kerr thought about the Warriors when he gave Draymond Green the center role. As long as you get your talent on the field, that's what matters. To me, it's just one of those things that I think as long as they use both running backs well, like think about the Lions, for example, who's the better running back, Gibbs or Montgomery? It doesn't really matter because they both play and they both play a role and they both fill that role very nicely. I mean, if you need one for your like Bleacher Report or something for the fans, I guess you can put a name down, but it doesn't really matter to me.
Well, I mean, to say who cares isn't really all that fair either, because you do want players that are going to fit in the scheme of things, whether they're just a two-headed monster like what you have
No,
with the
I
Lions
don't.
or
I don't
so
give
on
a
and so
shit.
forth.
Like I thought I made myself. I really don't care.
Yeah, Logan actually does not care about that.
Yeah,
and
he really does.
to some extent, I do kind of agree. But that's besides the point. I think either way's fine, no matter what you believe. But getting a third round pick, again, another weird trade. They salvaged a third round pick, kind of. They had to give up a fourth as well and a couple swaps here and there. Out of Sam Howell, who you weren't going to play anyway, that's pretty good.
Like
I agree.
To try again, a guy who like they tried him out and realized he can't start, and no one in the league's going to trade for a starter. Like you would think, no one in the league's going to trade for a non-starting quarterback, but this is the year of like, well, he's talented enough, just make him back up someone, and so someone's going to give him a shot. Desmond Ritter's gotten a shot somewhere. We'll get to that at some point. But like all of these guys who like have been starters and weren't good are now backup somewhere. Even though there's a UFL that has a league.
Hey, Gov, why don't you look at the comment section for a second?
No, because my ball Zach Ertz too.
Oh, I don't know why he didn't re-sign with Philly when he had the chance.
I think he should have just re-signed with Arizona. Give them a two-headed tight end deal.
Speaking of,
Or where
Sam
did
Howell-
Zach Ertz go? I forget.
He's on Washington now.
he's
Oh,
on-
right. He's a commie. Right. Yeah.
Sam Howell almost threw for 4,000 yards last season too, and even though he had the perfect ratio of touchdowns to interceptions. That's not unexpected for young quarterbacks like Howell.
Right. I think
Right,
he
I
proved that
agree.
he's capable. He's just not a real top starter. So he gets moved to be a backup somewhere because he's capable.
Let's just go to the next division, I think, because we'll get more into Sam Howell on the next one. On the
Yeah,
other
no,
end.
we don't need to be talking this much about Sam Howell. Let's go. Okay.
Mhm.
Pull up the
Nick
wheel,
Ball.
Logan.
NFC
All right.
West.
Come on, AFC team.
Oh,
Look at
Oh,
that.
another fucking
Evan, go
banger.
buy yourself a lottery ticket.
Oh,
actually, I can't because I said NFC West, not AFC West.
Oh,
I said give
Oh,
me the AFC.
I guess I'm dyslexic or something. I don't know.
Another banger of a division. Okay, so what team do you want to start with? How about the fact that Jim Harbaugh apparently thinks he can do things with Justin Herbert and absolutely nothing else?
Quentin Johnston? Anyone?
Full clean house.
Quentin
I expect
Johnston?
Quentin Johnson to have a breakout year.
He might
He
have
better.
to.
Yeah, he better.
Like, he fucking better. You
they
release Mike
spent-
Williams, you trade Keenan Allen, you let Gerald Everett go, you let Austin Eckler go.
To
Your
be
running
fair,
back room is garbage.
To be
You
fair,
have Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston. What the fuck?
You don't
The-
spend a
the-
first-round pick
the
on a
wide-
guy like a Johnston.
Donald Parham Jr.
the wide receiver draft is very strong at the top, and I would not be surprised if they went and got a guy like Rome Odunze, who is an absolute monster.
They
No,
need to draft Odunze and then the next best dude in the second round.
That could be what they do with the wide receiver, but I do think they're going to go with the generational Kelvin Johnson like prototype. They're going to go with Browers.
They might, as long as they get weapons. I don't care what they do.
Yeah,
They just need
I feel
weapons.
like they're going full offensive weapons in this draft, but I
Yeah,
don't think the defense is quite good enough.
And
He
I
must
think
have come in and thought, "There's enough here. I can fix what this coach was fucking up."
Mm-hmm.
And all he needs is the money, and they cleared all the money out of the offense, and are just going to draft cheap.
and let's
They're
be
going to go
honest
Green
here.
Bay. They're going to pull the Green Bay. I got Herbert. We're going to pull a Green Bay and just draft cheap fucks. They might sign one offensive dude at some point. They draft Jake.
Yeah, no.
in the
Let's be honest here. Well, they signed Gus Edwards, which is fine, but no coach in the NFL knows this draft class more than Harbaugh right now. So I'm going to trust that I'm going to trust that he knows who not to go with and who is probably going to translate NFL wise.
To be fair, though, some of the forced decisions they've had to make are not his fault. And
the Mike Williams cut had to happen.
He is a byproduct of that, and he knew that coming in, and so that's my thing. It's if you're a Jim Harbaugh fan or if you're against him, nothing changes today. He's doing exactly what he always does. He's going to run heavy. He's going to buy into his philosophy. He believes in tight end. That's why I say Brock Bowers has a chance to be the generational piece there, both in a run game and a pass game kind of guy. I do believe he's going to invest heavily in the run game. This is not a heavy rookie running back class, but I do think Blake Corum, his Michigan running back, has a chance to be one of the first running back off the board. And
he is probably going to be number 1 or 2 off the board.
I would not be surprised to see Gus Edwards not succeed with this Charger team. The way they do running backs, they're all garbage.
Yeah. So, I don't think the running back room is any good anyway, even with the Gus Edwards ad. They legit have nothing. They need to draft everything.
Yeah, no, I trust the fact that they're going to let Harbaugh kind of control the draft, seeing so he's done the most scouting on these kids as anyone else.
He tried to recruit. This is the point where everyone coming in the draft is someone
This is
tried to recruit or tried to play against or had to, or whatever.
Yes, this is going to be a 2-year
was looking at in the portal. He would. These are all guys. He knows this draft class.
Yeah, and when I say 2-year rebuild, I don't think they're going to suck by any means, but it's going to be 2 years till they even have a chance to make the Super Bowl run. I think.
I do think this will be the play action will be heavy with this team. I truly think that this team could be so unique. The only comparison I can come up with because they have given the keys to Jim Harbaugh. Whether it works or not, he has full control, even more control, I feel like, than he's had it with the 49ers. Like, I feel like, because they've given them the same level of control, but with longer longevity and belief. So I could see him giving 3 running backs 20 carries in a game. Like, truly. So the only way I can think about it is like in the NBA where you got the Timberwolves that are going big when everyone else is going small. He is going to go so uniquely different with his personnel and his structure that he's going to hope that he can outmatch it with his scheme, I feel like.
Speaking of different and outmatching with the scheme, the Raiders this offseason definitely acknowledge their weaknesses. They acknowledge they do not have any. They have the worst quarterback probably in the division. That's probably going to be the case. And they decided we're going to make quarterbacks' lives a living hell and sign Christian Wilkins. Maybe even overpay for Christian Wilkins. That defensive line's very scary if it's healthy.
4 years, $110 million with 84 3/4 guaranteed. That's a lot of money to throw at Wilkins.
That's a lot of money. He's earned his money, to be fair.
He did. Yeah.
But I think if you're going to challenge a division like this is the way to do it when you don't have a quarterback. Because you're not going to get a Herbert. You're not going to get a Mahomes. Denver is in position to draft a quarterback. So just say, maybe you start. Why can't I think of AJ's last name? O'Connell. Is it O'Connell?
Yeah, it's O'Connell.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell. There we go.
AOC, yeah.
Gardner Minshew, maybe, depending on, I don't know. I'm a Minshew guy still, but I know his limitations.
The Raiders have the 13th pick in the first round this year, which I don't see them trading up.
I don't see them trading up, nor do I see them taking a quarterback. I say you just let AOC kind of have another year. And if you guys win, awesome. If you don't, well, okay.
Do we think that AOC is beating out Minshew for the starting role right away, though?
Yes. I think it's AOC's job.
Probably. Like, if they really wanted to, probably. But, like, again, I don't think they gave Minshew enough money where you're going to make him the starter. You gave him backup money.
Yeah, they gave him backup money, but I still think he's competing with AOC for now.
I think they'll compete.
That's the thing. Like, if that's the case, they know they're drafting a quarterback next year.
Yes.
So it's possible that they're fine with the 13th pick.
If Aiden O'Connell cannot beat out Minshew to start this year, I don't see any way he's your guy. You don't let him get better than Minshew because it will not be that high of a ceiling.
I think they could draft a quarterback this year if the right quarterback fell to them. I think what they've done is Minshew is the safety valve that if they don't get the rookie quarterback they want, they have a good backup. But I do think the idea is to go with AOC as your long-term backup, and you're going to eventually draft a rookie to be the franchise.
I agree, but I think it's going to be Minshew AOC this year in this weight and see what happens. Because maybe AOC is good. Like, let's not act like this story's set on him. He could very well be a capable starter in the NFL for years to come.
Can I tell a funny story about Gardner Minshew before we keep going with this?
Yeah, every story about Minshew's funny, but
fair. But Week 17 against the Colts on New Year's Eve, Max Crosby harassed Gardner Minshew throughout the whole game, and Mike's even caught Max Crosby calling Minshew a little ass boy. So when asked about it, Minshew said, "Yeah, sure, we've squashed the beef. He's a big ass boy, is what he is."
That's great.
So I think Minshew's going to fit right in with this team.
Yeah, and Minshew's a very likable guy. I feel like locker rooms have always kind of gravitated around him, which does speak to him being able to continue to get money like he's getting. Same thing with, Marcus Mariota, who just randomly gets like $10 million deals every year.
Yeah, keep getting them checks.
They're doing something right, obviously.
Go fly in Hawaiian, Mariota.
Now, I know they didn't have money coming into this, but Denver having to give up Wilson, which, not shocking, and you do nothing else.
That's the thing. They know they're cutting. They know they're cutting ties. That's the thing. Denver's sort of like, again.
I don't think they even wanted to get
cut their ties. They know what they're doing with Sean Payton, and they're moving forward to that plan. They
And,
got rid of Judy.
Yeah, they keep Lil Jordan Humphrey. Peyton likes Lil Jordan Humphrey. I don't know if you guys know their history. They've been together for a while now.
All these Saints guys that Peyton loves to hold on to.
Oh, Taysom Hill end up.
Lil Jordan Humphrey actually has a lot of talent. Like, he's just physically a talented guy at receiver.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to keep him around when you don't know exactly. But you get rid of Judy, who wasn't loved. This is a complete reset. I don't know how long this is going to take for them, because it could be a long time.
They kept Will Lutz. They kept Adam Troutman. Peyton's got his guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's much more to say about the Broncos right now, because they really
what
haven't
are
done
they
much.
going to do at quarterback? Are they going to draft
we
a
do
guy?
not
Like,
know.
what the hell are they going to do?
We just don't know.
Like,
Yeah,
what?
they have the 12th pick in the first round this year, and
I do like
I
the
do
only
think
thing I will
one of
say.
those four. That's the thing. Like with them and the Raiders with 12 and 13, I don't think one of those top four guys gets past them and gets.
Yeah, no,
like,
Bo
late
Nix
first
won't
round.
go. Bo Nix is probably going to be a late first, second round guy. That's probably the perfect quarterback for Peyton, and they're not in a like. It's going to take trades to get to the right spot to draft him.
If Bo Nix was like 5 years younger, I would be a fan of him. He's just as old as Justin Herbert.
That doesn't surprise me.
that's pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, he is. What is his actual age right now?
I don't remember, but you got to remember. As you look it up, we had the COVID, we had the medical red shirt. So a lot of these players are a lot older than they were supposed to be, and then he obviously had injuries on top of the COVID exemptions. So
Yeah, he's
he
24.
He was born in 2000, so 24, which isn't old. I mean, but you got to keep in mind, quarterbacks are coming in
Kind of
so
old
young.
for coming out of college.
It is coming out of college.
It's not Brandon Whedon old.
Oh God.
You had to bring that up.
Yeah, I did have to bring that up.
Okay.
Most importantly, the defending back-to-back Super Bowl champs.
Hollywood.
I can't believe they got Chris Jones back. I thought he was gone.
They got Chris Jones back. They're keeping L'Jarius Sneed, it looks like.
Yeah.
Marquise Brown goes over. You get Irv Smith to be a backup tight end now. I really hope this doesn't mean the end of Noah Gray.
I think it does.
They could be the third
Blake
tight end.
Bell is definitely done.
Yeah, Blake
Yeah,
Bell's probably done.
He was a special teams guy anyway.
Drew Tranquil is here. No, Blake Bell had offensive snaps this year. What an offseason for them. I mean, hell, they even got Matt Arisa to come. No, I know they lost probably the best punter in the league, but to replace him with a guy on a league minimum who, when we last saw him, was the most hyped punter probably since Pat McAfee. It's just everything's working.
Yeah, it's Kansas City. They're going to keep on rolling.
Besides, Hollywood is always hurt.
Yeah, well, I mean,
but to be fair, like
Hollywood
Hollywood is just Sky Moore. Hollywood is just MVS. Hollywood is just every random dude they used last year. So even if he only plays 5 games, you're good.
He's the next level above that.
Oh, yeah, Hollywood Brown is so much better than Marcus Valdes-Scantling.
No, he's an upgrade on all of those guys. But like, if he only plays 5 games, how much of an upgrade is he?
Well, he may be on a one-year deal, but he's getting paid $11 million. That's a lot of money to throw at one guy.
The lowest amount of games he's ever played is 12. So that's not terrible. But it's not great either.
So Hollywood is definitely going to be a starting guy for the money he's being paid. He's not going to be a rotational guy.
No, him, Rashi, and Kelsey is a damn good 1, 2, 3.
And they're probably going to dip into the draft and get another guy. I'd assume.
Oh, yeah. Because Sky Moore ain't it.
But now we do know that Andy Reid historically isn't big on rookies, so that will probably still mean a lot of work for Sky Moore and like the rotation guys that we've seen.
Yep.
I want to see Patrick Mahomes with a jump ball receiver. He's never really had one. Mike Williams.
I want it to be Mike Evans so bad.
It's probably going to be Mike Williams.
No, Mike Williams makes a lot of sense.
Mike Williams does make a lot of sense now. But that's another injury-prone guy. Do you want to add another injury-prone receiver to this room?
Just give him depth. We'll carry 7 wide receivers.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, if you signed him and Hollywood, I'd be okay with it because then you have the depth.
I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
It's the idea that everyone thinks that Hollywood is like their primary wide receiver. Or like
Well, he's going to play the Tyreek role. No matter, he won't match it.
Hollywood is going to be the field stretcher. He's probably going to be the opposite guy of Rashee.
Okay, if that's what you mean, but I mean Rashee Rice is the best receiver they have.
Yeah, it's Rashee and Kelsey are still 1-2. But like Hollywood adds a great deep threat on the other side. That is a massive upgrade to what they were throwing out last year with Sky Moore.
Let's be honest.
Hardman, MBS.
I
agree.
Hollywood
but I agree with Logan. Another big-bodied, high-point receiver would be great to see because right now all he's ever had for that was Kelsey.
Yeah.
But
so like Mike Williams would fit even with the injuriness. You're not getting Mike Evans, so
I mean the thing with Hollywood though is I wouldn't be shocked if he managed to stay healthy that he leads the team in receiving yards just because that Mahomes is that good. He could elevate Marquise Brown.
But that's what I mean, like when I was talking about running backs and when I was discussing that with Evan, it's when you bring in a position, it's like what that position does to the rest of the team. It's not just the talent that player brings, but it's like what that talent opens up to the rest of your team. So when you give Patrick Mahomes weapons, it's different than giving, Kenny Pickett weapons. I know that's drastic. Or like even Justin Fields, like he would probably be better off if you gave him a good offensive line so he could scramble around. Like
Marquise Brown completely changes his offense again. It makes this offense what it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It gives them that dynamic much more consistently, yes.
Yeah.
Like they still try to run that offense. That's why MVS and that would always get like 2 or 3 deep targets like that a game. That's just the offense they like to run. But having a consistent guy on the outside that can do that opposite your main dudes in Rashee and Kelsey.
Would it shock you?
It'll open up the run game. It'll open up everything.
Would it shock you? Let's say he stays healthy. If he has 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, because that wouldn't shock me at all.
No.
I legitimately think Mahomes can elevate because their play styles just fit.
The only problem with that is if Kelsey and Rashee are 1-2, I don't think he gets that. I think more likely he gets something like 905 touchdowns or 6 touchdowns.
I'm just saying, like,
but
it wouldn't be crazy.
Because of that, Pacheco has a 1,300-yard season with like 15 touchdowns.
This offense is going
game that Andy Reid loves to run will be so much more effective with that downfield threat.
Yeah, no, we will not have a Raiders loss
with
this
Deshaun.
So
that's what he's going to try to run.
I've worked 2.5 shifts today, so my organizational psychology brain is turned off. It's the weekend. I think we hit on all the divisions, do we not?
We still have 4 more. We've only done half the league.
Yeah.
We hit on everything here. So let's quickly go through these last ones. Let's go.
We've gotten to the big ones at this point.
Yeah. We really did hit all the big hitters right now so far. All right,
okay.
NFC
start off with this. Maybe the biggest news of the offseason. Drastic to me. Aaron Donald retiring.
Yes, it is.
My God. I'm not
that surprised.
I'm not surprised, but it just I wasn't ready for it. I wanted to see more of it.
No, I was ready. I knew it was happening. He was going to retire 2 years ago. He was pretty sure he was out last year, and they brought him back. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I thought he might try to play this year and then retire somewhere after the draft. I thought he might try to leverage that and because now it's like a gaping hole. Like you have, your defense. You're basically saying hey, the sirens are going off defensively for the Rams.
This is a major hit for the Rams. And what do you do with the extra money? And Aaron Donald really did this poorly timed. And it's a tough decision to make, but this was very poorly timed for the Rams organization.
I don't think so. If you didn't know this was happening, shame on the Rams. Piss down their leg. He was going to retire 2 years ago. He told you that. Sean McVay convinced him to come back twice. There are only so many dinner bells you can ring before I'm like, dude, I told you I wasn't coming back. I told you don't set the dinner table for me when I told you that I'm moving out next week.
Yeah,
He's
I agree with that, Logan.
And you're right, Donnie. There is a gap, but there was always going to be a gap, and like now their defense is going to feel that gap because guess what? He was a generational player. So applaud that generation, but now it's time to move on. And guess what? You're not going to be able to replace it.
I'm happy he got his ring. I think that's pretty big. That's a pretty big deal. Now, another big move they made with this extra money immediately after the retirement, basically, Jimmy Garoppolo signs, and you scoff at it, but Stafford does have a history of missing games.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, but Jimmy Garoppolo is the best they could do.
I think Jimmy is the best backup in the league.
He legitimately
might be.
is very good as a backup. He's going to be one of the top backups in the league.
Again, so much backup quarterback movement. Oh my God!
It is kind of crazy how much.
But Doug, I think
Yes, see, that makes me think that all the GMs know who's taking quarterbacks. So the league knows the 4 or 5 teams that are going to take those quarterbacks in the draft, and everyone else is getting their backups ready.
Well, I mean, you saw what the Cardinals were able to get out of having Josh Dobbs on their roster at the trade deadline.
A flash in the pan.
No. But the Cardinals got picks for him. That's very valuable.
Yeah, because the Vikings were stupid.
Again, the Vungles.
The Vungles, exactly.
Yes, the Vungles. Yes.
But the Rams offseason, no matter how you look at this Rams offseason, I can't praise it exactly because you lost the best player of my generation.
But they did get incredibly fortunate with getting Puka Nakua where they got him. If he is a generation, like if he is not a generation, that's not fair to him, but if he is a building block of this team and Cooper Kupp comes back healthy, they got a dynamic duo there.
Well,
Yeah,
and
I read they have an offense still in place. It's true. Like they're going to feel this, but it is also basically the one thing they've been needing to replace and need to add to anyway.
Yeah,
So,
they bolstered up their secondary as well in this free agency. So I'm fine with it happening in that regard. But man, no matter how you look at it, this defense probably will be worse without Aaron Donald.
It won't be better. Like you might be able to get.
I'm not gonna write them off, but they probably will be worse.
But that's what I'm saying is they should be worse, but their offense should be better.
Before we move on from the Rams, what do y'all think about the Colby Parkinson signing? That's a big contract to throw at him.
I don't think it's a massive contract. I think it's a little weird of a deal, though.
I didn't say massive. I said it's kind of a big contract for him.
Did Higbee resign?
Higbee, I thought, was still under contract, technically.
Is it this year or next year his contract ends?
I think it's
checking right now. So he is signed through 2025.
Okay.
But
I'm mixed up on stuff then.
Matthew's known for having the 2 tight end system and then splitting a receiving tight end out wide, post snap.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Honestly, I'm fine with that move.
You could see a red zone package definitely for Parkinson.
Now, let's move on to the Super Bowl losers, I guess.
Womp womp.
Womp womp is wild to say. I do not like what the 49ers have done this offseason. Now, you get Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd's a good signing here, especially because, you lose Chase Young, yes, but you got your 3rd-round pick back, essentially. It's a couple spots behind.
They had to test Chase Young, though,
No, he's gone now.
Going on a run, yeah.
Well, when they traded for him, they wanted to test him out before even considering keeping him.
Well, they traded a 3rd-round pick, but because they lost him, they get a comp 3rd-round pick. So they really didn't trade much. They traded a couple spots back for a year.
So you basically just rent him for the year, go on the run. If he's really good, you could re-sign him, but you don't need to. You're just going to get your pick back.
Yeah, you vamp up your defense a lot, which is weird to me. That's what's weird to me. Vamping up the defense like they have, when you might have to get rid of one of Ayuk or Debo.
Their coaching staff is immaculate, right?
I
like,
agree.
immaculate in terms of motivation, in terms of belief, in terms of youth and movement and ingenuity. The problem with this team is they've taken a lot of chances and they've missed. And they haven't paid the toll for those misses. Trey Lance was a big mistake that they haven't paid for. And I think they're going to start paying for those things now because these are the types of things where it's like there's a nourishment that gets, when you develop a guy and you start to really reap the benefits, then you get a team like the Lions or the Bears or even the Panthers start to show like sprouts of hope and inspiration. The 49ers really don't have any of those young sprouting abilities because of Christian McCaffrey, because you missed on Trey Lance. And so, yeah, they've been able to kind of plug and play, but now it's like that's only going to work for so long. One is a year older. I don't like what this team has done.
I feel the same way, and we saw it in the Super Bowl. They've started to fall apart a bit.
Yeah.
And we see a guy like George Kittle in the Super Bowl. He sees George Karlaftis on a play that resulted in a fumble, and he's trying to worry about getting a mic'd up moment, saying "Hi, George," instead of diving on a fumble because he was too busy being silly. It just.
Well,
this team is going in the wrong place, I think. And I know it's not like they've lost a bunch of talent so far. I do not like how this team's going.
I still like the Malik Collins signing to put next to Javon Hargrave. That's still going to be good for an interior, despite losing Eric Armstead.
Oh, I'm not saying they're not. I highly expect them to win this division quite with ease, honestly. But
DraftKings has odds right now. The odds you can get plus money for the 49ers to win more than 11 games. Would you take that, Joe, or no?
I think they're right about at 11, personally.
Yeah, like if 11.5 is the split.
Yeah, 11.5 at plus money.
I might take like plus money. Like I could see taking that right now.
Yeah.
But the moves they've made wouldn't make you think that. But if they don't have like just a straight up down year, they still have all the talent for this year to make a run and win that division, maybe win 12 or 13 games.
My thing is this year for the Niners right now feels very what happened to the Eagles this past season. I very much do see a hangover coming. This was a strenuous mental season for them. They're only getting older. Now you have contract disputes happening.
If the Niners can't get to 11 wins this coming season, something's terribly wrong with the organization. And that just confirms everything we're saying.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but it's not even that. Like, I consider this down year. The Eagles having a down year this year because I never consider them a real Super Bowl contender. And I think this might happen to the Niners. I think they might need to take a step back, reevaluate.
Well, I mean, historically, even with Kyle Shanahan, like he's probably going to have 2 down years. But this is also the first time, like, he's not going to have to play Purdy for another year or 2. So he really needs to keep this window open. So I'm kind of interested to see what they do in the draft, what they do with Ayuk and Debo.
I just feel like this team's at their breaking point mentally. It's gone through a lot.
But like that's where the coaching staff
I agree. But this has been a lot mentally for them lately.
Yeah, like I could see them having a down year.
And
I
Kyle
also know
too.
That they're going to try not to because they have the window with the quarterback contract.
At least the expectation is there for the 49ers, but we haven't talked about them yet because I don't think there's much to say. The Seattle Seahawks are the team that's totally stuck in the muck because I don't know what to make. They're not good. They're not bad. They're not bad enough to lose.
Is Sam Howell going to start for them? That's my question.
It's going to be Geno Smith for a little while longer.
I don't think it matters.
Yes,
I don't
it does
either.
matter. Why would it not matter?
Because they're just going to be okay.
Because they'll be okay. They won't be bad enough to get a generational like a top pick, so they're not going to restart the process. They're not going to develop, anything of substantial value, but they're going to be just good enough. I think Pete Carroll kept this thing together with bubblegum for quite a while, and I think this team could be like historically bad.
I don't think historically bad is the right way to put it. I think the Seahawks are just going to be that middler team in the NFC.
I don't think they're going to beat Detroit's record and go 0 for 17.
No.
Like, they're not going to be historically bad. Now, Could they compete for the number 1 pick next year? Yes, I think that is
Oh, that's
entirely possible.
for me. That's already in the apple cart. Like I think this team is the leader in the clubhouse of the worst team.
Well, we'll get into that later when we do our season predicting thing that we did last year. Hopefully, anyway. If you guys
We won't find a better
We'll
word.
do that later in
I
the summer.
Yeah.
Does anybody give a shit about the Cardinal signings? These are boring.
Desmond Ritter's
they're
fine.
getting
That's a
better.
fine
They're
trade
back
there.
up. Rondale Moore did.
DJ Dallas making $8 million is cool.
Yeah.
Wait, DJ got paid 8?
3-year, $8 million.
I was gonna say, no way they're paying him $8 million a year.
No, that's what the best running backs in the league are.
He got Henry money.
Jonah Williams is a good signing, but this. Hey, Sean Murphy Bunting went there. I completely missed this signing. What is Tampa gonna do at corner?
Suck.
Anyway, let's move on. Next division.
Yeah, well, we can talk more about that when we get to that division. If we get to it right now.
NFC East, baby. Come on.
No.
No.
We didn't get to either of us. They're really fucking us right now, Donnie.
I'm so sad.
Now we got to talk about this bullshit division.
I'm so sad. Joe Mixon. That's all I care about. I care about Joe Mixon. But what a great signing of Joe Mixon and Daniil Hunter. Texans home run.
I think it helps their run game. You're getting what you see. CJ Stroud's the guy. You like the passing game. You got Tank. You got Nico. You got Schultz.
Keep Noah Brown.
You bolster the run game and okay.
Yeah, Daniil Hunter is a great edge rusher.
Keeping Noah Brown was sneaky good.
Yeah. And you signed another sneaky contract with Jeff Okuda going over there. That's pretty big, in my opinion.
Dalton Schultz is the future at tight end for them now.
Yeah, which is fine. They just pretty much everything you needed them to do this offseason, they did. They got A+ on paper, this is A+ right here. Same thing with the Packers. Too. I feel this way with the Packers as well. Everything I needed them to do, they did.
Don't forget, we haven't seen the best of Stingley either. I really like Stingley.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He hasn't been given the defensive prowess that a Sauce Gardner has been given, because he had and I'm not saying he's earned that kind of defensive reputation, but we all know Sauce has kind of been given a defensive head coach, the defensive structure. I want to see what Stingley can do if he's given a full season with some other dogs, and I think he's got some dogs barking in that kennel now.
Yeah, but the Texans, they might have one of the best pass rushing teams in the league right now.
Yes.
They have Will Anderson. They get Daniil Hunter on a big 2-year deal, 2 years, $50 million essentially. 48 of it's guaranteed. That's a huge signing, and it's going to be great for them.
It reminds me of the Kirk Cousins, that era where it's we're going to give you all the money you want, but we're going to give it to you in such a short burst that no matter if you earn it or not, we're not going to invest.
Yeah, they're not going to regret it. This will be up before the Stroud contract.
Even if it's terrible, something terrible goes wrong, he just is not the guy. It's you give him a lot of money, you took the chance. You mentioned Jeff Okuda. I think that's one of the best perfect deals you could do. It fits that that coach's aggressiveness. I like what they've done.
Yeah, and Joe Mixon's the best 7th-round pick you could get, probably. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah,
you're probably not getting a better 7th-round pick than Joe Mixon. What a job by them there.
Texans are easily the favorite to win this division. Change my mind.
Exactly. And speaking of favorite to win the division, let's talk about the least favorite. I think. What the hell did Tennessee do? And how did they? First of all,
okay. Do they still have DeAndre Hopkins? So now they have Hopkins and Ridley.
We're shutting up for a second, because in 3 years, the Titans have managed to break my heart with Julio going to the Patriots' dreams. Then they broke my heart with Hopkins, and now with Ridley. I'm getting sick of it. I hate Tennessee. Hate them.
Which is why you're buying.
Because they signed wide receivers the Patriots were never going to sign?
That's a fair point.
Patriots were literally in the top.
Never going to sign a wide receiver.
I think that's
They did it one time with the most diva out there wide receiver ever, and it didn't win them a Super Bowl.
Well, here's
Well,
the thing.
I know.
No.
Extenuating
No.
circumstances. Eli Manning is a genie or a witch or a demon. I don't know.
Yeah,
His
no,
soul to a
he
genie or a witch or a
practices
demon,
he
I don't know.
practices sacred arts, but Calvin Ridley gambling history plus 1800. That's what we're going with.
Well,
look.
let's not forget the most important signing they have is Nick Folk.
Ah, the folk.
Wait, Nick.
Nick Folk is back with the Titans.
Why?
Why not?
Why not?
Hold on.
I like Nick Folk. Nick Folk's a very good kicker.
Hold on, though. I think we're dismissing the Titans a bit here. I think we're thinking of them as the Mike Vrabel Titans, and they're not.
They signed Tony Pollard, and I don't trust any running back in that room.
Tony Pollard is a very good pass-catching running back. They have Spears, who has an explosive, electric type of offensive movement and fluidity. And now you're going to bring in Calvin Ridley, who is a top wide receiver, and you got Hopkins. I really like this offense. You got the gunslinger and Will Levis. I think this offense could be sneaky good, especially for fantasy.
I don't think this is the worst one. Like, to be honest,
No, this
without having Minshew, like the Colts could be the worst team in this.
Oh,
division
yeah.
Easily.
If Anthony
Richardson.
is,
Well, they
if
signed
Anthony
Joe
Richardson
Flacco.
isn't healthy.
They signed Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
Another
Flacco's
the Colts,
solid, okay, and
the
like
Colts,
they got Pittman, they got Taylor, like okay.
Yeah, the
Like,
Colts
they have
did
some
go
weapons.
sign a 39-year-old quarterback for some reason, and they'll probably be decent with him, even if their Anderson goes down.
honestly, I think it's I think it would totally be a shocker to me if the Titans don't make the playoffs.
I would be shocked if they made the playoffs.
I'd be shocked if they made the playoffs too.
No,
I'm not sure I'd be shocked if they made the playoffs.
I'm telling you,
I'd be shocked if they won the division, but I wouldn't be shocked if like at 10-7 made the 7th seed.
do we want to talk Colts or no?
Well, I have one more hot take about the running backs for the Titans. I would not be surprised if Tyjae Spears is the lead back over Tony Pollard.
Oh,
That's going to happen in my
I don't think it matters.
I do not think Tony Pollard's very good at all.
I actually no. I'll take that. You know what? I would take that bet right now. Tony Pollard out touches Tajay next year.
I would take that as well.
I would take that bet right now. Honestly.
Because a 3-year, $24 million deal means they want him to be the guy, but that's not that much money to throw at him anymore.
We can definitely do a
No, but like if you're going to committee, like that means Pollard's the 60 out of the 40.
especially if you're going to give me receptions too. I think Tony Pollard is more the workhorse than Spears.
Like it might be close. It might be a true 60-40, but like I would take the bet that Pollard has more touches than Tajay.
I agree with that.
Because Tyjae Spears in his rookie year had more receiving targets than Pollard's ever had.
Well, I mean, like not like you're going to throw Derrick
Completely
Henry.
different offense, though. Completely different offense.
I'm telling you, like everyone thinking the Mike Vrabel offense, it's not that team anymore.
Now Jacksonville, they're the team.
Can we please get the Colts out of the way completely? If we
Let's
have
do
to.
it.
Like I don't care about the Colts. Like they're okay. Here's the thing with the Colts that if you really want to talk of all this backup quarterback movement, and they have the glass AR-15. Like, why would you not go get a backup quarterback?
They got Joe Flacco, comeback player of the year.
You
They
got
did get Joe
better
Flacco.
than that. Like like I understand it's probably as good or better than Minshew, but like okay, really.
I'll be honest though, that is a fun team for me.
I feel like they should have went like maybe not one of the young guys, like maybe not Sam Howell, but like there's no reason they shouldn't have Garoppolo or something like that.
Well, Joe Flacco
Although I
signed a
guess
pretty
if they
good
want to
deal
keep
with
you
them.
off, and like because like you can't even say like, well, Flacco would be better at running the RPO that we're going to run with Richardson. Bullshit, he would.
Well, Michael Pittman and Flacco actually, I think it's a good duo. Consider if we're talking not bad, but backup level quarterbacks and good receivers. I think that's a good pairing.
It feels kind of insulting that we're already writing off Richardson, even though he's probably going to be ready for week one.
No. I'm going to interrupt you.
No, I expect him to be ready, but I am not trusting that he'll play a whole season, which means
I
think
feel the
this is a
same
team
way.
that should have prioritized the backup quarterback the most
I'll
of
be on the
all of
record.
these teams going and getting their backup.
If he plays 14 games, I expect him to be a top 10 quarterback.
I would agree with that. If he
I
plays
wouldn't be
14
shocked.
games, I would
I
say
wouldn't be shocked.
he probably has top 10 fantasy upside.
I mean, he was already so good,
Hell,
and
even
now
just straight top
mentally
10 stats. Yeah.
he's more mentally prepared now, and he was already good. So I'm fine with saying that.
Yeah, he showed very good flashes in the few games he was able to play. So, like, if he's able to play, I would agree with that completely.
No,
I would set his over-under, honestly, going into this year at probably 10 games.
Unfortunately, he's got the Robert Griffin III kind of mojo where it's like he doesn't understand the long-term viability of his skill sets. Like he will risk it for the biscuit a little too much, and eventually that you only got so many biscuits in that mix there.
I would blame the Colts too for not doing a good job taking care of him with that offensive line.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
I mean Andrew Luck as well, but considering
And
it's the
I think the honest truth is we just want to see good football. Like you blame the Band-Aids, I blame the hospital. In the long term of it, really, it's just we want better health. Like however you slice it, they need to take better care of him. More offensive weapons, better defenses. Being smarter with the ball, like it all matters.
Yeah, and speaking of more offensive weapons, let's move on to the Jacksonville, who got honestly revamped the offense a lot.
The worst signing in the league with Gabe Davis.
I hate the Gabe Davis signing as well because that's a lot of money. But listen, you also get Devin.
Like I was about to say, who was the other receiver that got the same money as him?
Curtis Samuel got $330, and then the other guy was Darnell Mooney. Mooney?
Yeah. Mooney got basically the same deal, but Mooney got like an extra $1 or $2 million guaranteed, I think. So,
yeah,
to
exactly.
be fair, Gabe Davis probably got the worst of these mid-range wide receiver contracts coming out, which I would say like he should probably get the worst of these mid-range wide receiver contracts, and he kind of did. It's just more money than I would have thought. I agree. I would have thought 10 million, not 13.
Listen, you're losing Calvin Ridley, and that's a big deal.
You had Kirk. You've got the Kirk. Captain Kirk is your man.
Yep.
Kirk dog.
They're paying him to be the top guy, too.
Exactly. Like, you already paid Kirk. Ridley was just a tryout.
Yeah. Christian Kirk is still in the middle of his 4-year, $72 million contract.
Yeah, so you get Gabe Davis, though. You get Devin Duvernay, which is fine. You redo your offensive line, essentially. You get Mitch Morse in there. You get Ezra Cleveland. That's big moves. Your defensive line looks a lot better now with Eric Armstead. Darnell Savage comes over. They did a lot. And, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going to start, obviously. But another backup quarterback, Mac Jones, he might be the best backup quarterback in the league, in my opinion. I hate Mac Jones. But God damn it, when you put an offense around him, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, which didn't even exist on your team, unfortunately.
No, I stand by. I'm so glad Mac Jones is out of the building because God forbid we did make an offense. I don't want Mac Jones to look good in it because I don't like Mac Jones. I think he's a crappy person. I think he's there's no redeeming qualities to me about Mac Jones other than the fact that he's a good football player when he has talent around him.
Well, yeah, hopefully he gets along with Doug Peterson's crew here and maybe he'll change. Otherwise, Eric Armstead is the most impressive free agent signing that I think is the case with the Jaguars.
Yeah,
I don't have much else to say.
As the internet's been saying, it's Maxonville, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, this seems like a middling, whatever they are, division, except the Texans look like they're going to be legit for a while.
Yeah, this Jaguar team is not winning.
They got stuff. Yeah, it should be Jacksonville because of Trevor Lawrence, but they just Jacksonvilled it up, and now Houston's got their shit together. So sorry.
By the way, who saw that coming starting
problem.
last year with Houston?
Yeah,
not many.
If anything, I would have thought it would have been Indy because they had better weapons. If AR-15 just did well.
Well, it all came down to Tank Dell, I think. Tank Dell was the absolute X factor.
Yeah, hitting on a receiver and a quarter. Like, I think we've now seen it with Burrow in that. If you hit on a receiver and a quarterback, you're good. Which might be like maybe that's the thing. Because I've heard rumblings that like part of the reason people don't want Caleb Williams is like he wants a bunch of bullshit to happen. So he's like the Bears are scrambling because Caleb, if they draft Caleb wants them to trade up to get one of those top receivers in the draft to go with him. And they don't want to like put that kind of capital towards that and draft Caleb. So it's like, even though you should be able to get that for Fields, but like, I don't know. Maybe, who knows? It's
All
crazy.
right, let's move on, baby.
Yep. Well, is it going to be my division or your division, Donnie?
Hopefully mine. I got a trade proposition.
Here we go.
We know what we got.
All right. Well, I'm just going to knock the Patriots out of the way very, very quickly. I have a very short amount to say about this. I love this offseason. I think we've done pretty much everything you can do right. You sign a couple one-year deals that will expire. You keep guys like Kendrick Bourne and Hunter Henry who are important to our offense. The little offense that we have, but they will be important pieces. You get Jacoby Brissett, who, no matter who we draft, I think I would start this year. Or him or Zappi. I do not want to start a rookie. At least week 1. I don't like doing that. Gibson's a good contract. But here's my trade proposition for you.
I'll be right back.
We'll give you the 3rd overall pick. Just give us the 9th in Fields, Evan, please. You can take Caleb and Marv. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that one and tell Ryan Poles about that.
There is no chance, absolutely no chance that Jacoby Brissett starts over a rookie.
No,
I know. I agree, but god damn it, I just want it to happen. I don't like starting rookies week 1. Unless they're genuinely just generationally great. I don't like it. I'll stand by that forever. I think the Jordan Love route is the way to go. Maybe not for that long, but still.
So, remind me of the name of the successor to Belichick again?
Gerard Mayo. And
yeah, so Gerard Mayo, do we know his style? If they draft a rookie quarterback, are they going to let Brissett start over him?
I have no idea because it's a defensive coach. And
think of a younger, more energetic version of Mike Vrabel. That's how I would describe Mayo.
If he's more energetic than Mike Vrabel, then honestly, I'd be worried that Mayo's doing crack.
Well, when I say energetic, I mean like actually.
He got it from Stephen Belichick too.
I'm not saying that Vrabel doesn't have energy. He does, obviously, and like we should appraise him for that because honestly, that's one of his best selling points. What I mean is, Mayo has that kind of pedigree, but he's still young enough that like he can go out and do it. Like he's the type of coach that's going to run up and down the sidelines, and like we can laugh and cheerlead and all that stuff that we want, but I think that does matter to the players.
Also, the Patriots have one of the best names in the league on their team now, Sion Taki. Awesome name. So I can't complain about that.
It sounds like a combat name.
I'm not here to convince you, Donnie, that you're wrong about the veteran quarterback thing, but when you have such a strong opinion about not starting a rookie, though, I feel like
there are exceptions. I'm not going to say there isn't an exception.
No, I'm not saying like, and I know I'm not going to be able to convince you, but just for the audience sake, I do think you're a bit too locked into this only idea because like that's the kind of stuff that can set a franchise back. When you say there's only like this one possibility where I would do it, I think we have to wait to see who that is.
Logan, my thing is this offense is so like it's still so bad. There's not much we can do right now. It's only going to hurt to put somebody in that situation.
No, but that would be your mindset if it was the Dolphins or if it was the Bears. Like that's just
no. With the Bears, if you draft Caleb Williams, which at this point I'm leaning, I'm starting Caleb Williams, even if you have to keep Fields and like just wait.
Fair enough.
I hope if that happens, I hope that doesn't happen because
that's worst case scenario. I think if you have both.
Yeah, I would want Fields to start over Caleb to let Caleb get adjusted to the NFL level. I don't care how great he was in college.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't.
I know you're going to laugh because you're probably going to think it's a bit of a joke here, but I promise you it's not. I love Antonio Gibson. I think that was one of the smartest wide receiver signings that the Patriots made.
Well, running back, technically.
Again, you call it a running back. I don't care. Call it a punter for all I care. All I care is he's on the team and he will be a special contributor.
I don't know about special contributor, but I mean, I do love me a receiving back, so
Yeah.
you know.
Unfortunately, this Pats team is probably taking last place in the AFC East.
I don't disagree, but I will say
The
The
Dolphins.
Jets can always jet. I'll give you that.
the
No.
Jets are always jet. But
The Dolphins.
here's the thing. I will say this: we did not have the worst offseason of our division, and
Dolphins.
that's something to be proud of. No, the Bills had the worst offseason of the division. I don't even think it's close. They lost half their secondary at this point.
Shall we
but that was-
transition to the Bills?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they lost. Yeah, they just straight up cut like their whole secondary. They got Curtis Samuel for a 3-year, $24 million deal worth up to 30.
So there's your Gabe Davis.
Mhm.
Yeah. You get Mac Hollins, which I think is a very good signing as well.
I like Mac Hollins, even though he
Me
doesn't get
too.
much respect.
Most importantly, Deion Dawkins extends.
Yeah, they still got defensive talent, and they got Josh Allen. I don't like what the Dolphins.
I don't think they have much defensive talent. What? Who's on their like? The best name that I know on there. No, I know he's not the best player, but the biggest name is goddamn DeMar Hamlin.
Who now should start over Poyer. Now that
Poyer's cut. Yeah, Poyer's gone, and
Yep.
that's exactly what's going to happen.
Their defensive line is good.
Oh, the most important signing for the Bills, though, Mitchell Trubisky, kissing titties.
Back again, baby.
He looks really good in Buffalo's system, though.
Yes, he did.
Other than that, Taylor Rapp has a pretty decent deal at safety.
I think they missed the playoffs. I just think that the Dolphins are that bad.
The Dolphins lost a lot of shit. You lose Christian Wilkins, you lose Hunt, you lose Van Ginkel. Yeah.
I didn't even realize Jordan Poyer
add
went to the
Jonnu
Dolphins.
Smith.
Yes, Jordan Poyer did go to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Shaq Barrett went to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Shaq
yeah.
Barrett, I didn't know.
I'm not kidding. It's gotten. I would consider a bad signal for your team when Tyreek Hill is praising the Dolphins, or at least pleading with them, I should say, because he's not impressed with their moves. So he is praising and pleading with them to sign Mike Williams.
I don't. Why would they sign Mike? That's an awful signing.
Yeah, I don't see why they would do that either.
They don't need that. They need other positions.
That's what I mean, though. It's like a wide
You don't need to
receiver.
sign Mike Williams. You needed to keep Robert Hunt.
Or, yeah, or Wilkins, or like you improve the team. You improve the wide receivers by improving the rest of the team.
Right. You
Like
keep
getting
the
offensive
offensive
linemen.
line. You keep the defensive linemen that are great talents. That's what you do. Why are you letting that stuff go to waste?
So it's like some players have good ideas, and they should be led by some players. But I don't know. I don't like it when one wide receiver decides, oh yeah, the one thing we need is another wide receiver. Like the Dolphins have so many more needs.
Is Jonnu Smith finally the guy at tight end for the Dolphins, who they've been lacking for years?
Yeah,
I think
28,
so. Like he
sure.
just fits the system being the speed guy.
2-year deal, maybe.
All right,
Technically,
now-
4 years or 1 year, $4 million.
Well, I should mention, Evan's been playing sick this whole time. This podcast is quite long. How about we spin this wheel? I don't know how you got me sick,
We
Evan.
don't even need to spin the wheel. There's only one division left. I'm tired.
By the way, it was
The
like Evan
toilet
got me-
bowl that is the NFC South.
Oh, wait. Did we even cover the Jets? Do we care?
I
Oh,
think
we
we
did
do. Oh,
not.
did you say Jets? I said Jets. Donnie said Jets. Logan, have you said the word Jets?
Okay.
Because I think if you say the word Jets, we've covered the Jets.
I would
Do
bet
it.
the
Say the word
I would-
Jets.
I would
Say
bet-
it.
Say it. Say Jets real quick. Say it.
I would bet the green team to make the playoffs.
All right, close enough. Next division.
Okay, yeah, there we go. The NFC South. Okay, so let's start with my team. It's clear what we're doing. We're building around Bryce Young. We're tearing everything else down. We're getting the salary cap ready. We're building around our quarterback. So you go and you sign Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis from Seattle or Miami and Seattle. Like two really good guards. You put $90 million into the freaking offensive line. That's kind of how you protect the quarterback. Then what's the other thing you go do? You trade for one of the sure-handed, like, oh, great. I have Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson. We will catch every ball within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage with no yak.
All right. You can hear me now, right?
Sure.
Yeah, we
Yes.
got this.
Nice fan.
Thanks, man. I don't know why my background isn't on.
But Gov, I really like the Josie Jewell signing too. That he's I
him
really
from
like his work with
Denver.
Denver.
Like that's actually a solid one
very,
too.
very good. I
Yeah.
mentioned that in my listing when I went through them.
I did
that was
like
one-
Jeremy Chin. I would have liked to have kept him, but like he took a $4 million deal. Well, to be fair, he took a $4 million 1-year deal from the Commanders. Go get your bag, come back. Sure. Come back. We'll give you a 3-year deal, but you're only getting 2 a year, 2.5 a year. That's probably what we were offering him was like 2.5 a year, but we'll give you 3. And he's like, I'll go take 4.5 from the Commanders for 1 year.
I'm high on what the Panthers are doing as long as they finish this up with the draft because I do think people have overreacted to the Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud discussion to the point that it's gone a bit too far. I need to see what the Panthers do in the next 5 years, sure, but there's still a lot of possibilities that could end up being very good, including, we mentioned it, the wide receiver class is generationally good. And so if the Panthers...
Yeah, I am hoping, like, we don't have a first-round pick, but I am hoping, like, with that extra second we get from the Giants, and, like, we still have our second, so, like, we have, like, the right? Yeah, like so. Like
I just love what they've done this offseason. The Panthers.
They could be
like Dan Morgan, our GM, is doing well. He's making some moves. We are building the team. We have a direction at least. Like we just gotta hope Bryce Young is the guy.
Do you guys still have Adam Thielen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Our
you have route runners.
I was about to say we have great route running and great hands. No yak and no deep threat. Unless, like I don't think Mingo's going to be a deep threat. Like, we got Mingo, Thielen, Deontay.
I'd worry about tight end. Like, honestly, that's where I'm going here.
To be fair, like, with a young... I always am an adamant guy. Like, that's why, honestly, it might not even be Stroud. It might be Dalton Schultz is why Houston is so good. You give a guy, when he comes in young, a very consistent tight end, that can be so
It's
helpful.
important.
Like every good quarterback I've seen in the last 15, 20 years came out and had an amazing tight end. Cam had Olsen. Like every team that went well has a great tight end. San Fran has Kittle. Like Mahomes had Kelsey. Like,
is Tommy Tremble your top tight end at this point?
Yes.
Oh God.
There is a wide receiver that does have a vendetta against the New Orleans Saints in your division. That would be Michael Thomas.
He is,
Yes, another sure-handed guy who can go 5 yards and get nothing else.
Slant boy.
Amazing idea. Yes, Logan, I think you've got it.
I'm not saying it's the smartest move, but I'm saying it's it's a talent upgrade. Maybe
you know where Michael Thomas should go.
We're just waiting our time until Minnesota bungles it up so much that we get to just give the bag to JJ.
Yeah, Michael Thomas should end up going to a team like the Chargers.
It would make sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Support a young guy like a Quentin Johnston.
I should mention
just be slant boy on the other side of that. Herbert gets a sure-handed dude. Like, okay.
I should mention though, because I kind of hinted at it with the CJ Stroud thing and how he came off and just showed out right away. And some people are late developers. We haven't mentioned the name. We should. Darren Waller is considering retirement. That's a late bloomer. So like that should be an example.
He was on the Ravens for a long time. If people
Darren Waller's situation is very unique, though, Logan. He had to overcome alcoholism.
But I'm saying that like that's possible. Like the idea that like these rookies have to
There
come in.
could be a couple of young tight ends who have like. To be honest, if it's the guys like that, I would think would be like, could Irv Smith actually take over for Kelsey eventually, something like that. But like,
My thing with that is like, I agree 100%, but that's why I don't like starting rookies year one in awful situations. Rookie quarterbacks year one in awful situations.
I'm just saying the instantaneousness of the league. It's across sports. It's basketball. It's football. It's any professional sport. It's like if you're not ready to go right away, we give up on you so quickly.
That's the one thing I'll give the Packers credit for, man. They did Jordan Love so well. I mean,
This is the classic Green Bay Packer way, though. They've been doing that for over 30 years.
yeah, they're like,
but
it
has not proven to be the right
once
way.
they got their quarterback, they got him for 20 fucking years or 15, 20 fucking years.
That's
So
the
now
right
you
way.
just have the same plan. Okay, draft our guy, then just start drafting offensive talent. We'll probably hit on at least one wide receiver. He'll be the main dude. We extend him after his rookie deal, but we don't pay him the big money.
Donnie,
We
what's
let
your
him walk
question?
after
Is it the
that.
right way?
I don't know.
Yes, I do feel like that's the right way of going about things.
Yeah, I don't know
I
if
don't
I
know
have
if
a
it's
solid
the right-
answer for that,
That's
though,
the thing.
because
Like right way and works, are completely different.
yeah, because between Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love, the Packers only have 2 Super Bowl championships between them, and that's a long period of time.
Well, that's just not being willing to spend on free agency and kind of hoping the quarterback carries you.
And the
Which-
defense not living up to expectations.
Yeah. Yeah, like the defense isn't lived up because like maybe the organization doesn't prioritize defense enough once it has all those.
Or spend money.
They're
That's the thing.
notorious for not having a
Well,
good
I mean,
rush defense.
can you can understand like they're the one team that's not owned and run by a billionaire. They're owned and run by the city of Green Bay.
They still have a CEO on or not a
They
CEO.
still
They have a
still have-
president of the board.
Okay,
Yeah, they do.
but we started
Like-
off so strong. Do you think we can finish in the next 4 minutes?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I was about to say we're almost done. Like
The Falcons, I feel like, had a very good offseason.
like they're the NFC South winners. They're going to be fun to watch
To
to see
I-
what the fuck happens. Like Cousins,
me,
gives
I'm
them-
going to be honest. That's Cousins isn't even the best quarterback move of the offseason for this division. I think re-signing Baker for Tampa is just so much more.
they're going to be surprisingly good too.
Yeah, I don't think Baker's
I
great,
really
but-
like Tampa.
Like just
Yeah.
like this year, like no
I
one
don't-
expected them to do anything, and like I think next year is gonna like somehow they're gonna have the same level
Where-
of like scrutiny. It's like no one's gonna expect them to do anything because it's just Baker on that team. But like again, it's Baker, Evans, Godwin. Like they could totally just be solid.
Baker's in an awesome situation.
Gov and Donnie, you both like the Bucks, so let's do this. Where would you guys set the over/under for the Bucks? I'll take the under.
I would say 7.5.
I'll smash the under. I would smash
I
it.
was probably gonna say 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the under then. What about you, Evan? Would you take the under on 7.5?
They could totally just win 10 games. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened either.
I think the Buccaneers are winning either 9 or 10 games.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I don't think they're going to be winning more than 10, though.
Like I do think it'll be like last year, like a
That's another one of
barely,
those teams that
a
did everything
barely
right.
500 team, a 9-8, a 10-7 team will win this division.
I just
Yeah.
I don't like how they use Chris Godwin. You saw Baker kind of get banged up near the end there. I don't know if they've done enough to protect him. Their defense has gotten worse. I don't really like anything the Bucks are, like the Bucks. If anything, the Bucks are just the same team as they were last year, but I think they've gotten worse.
Their defense has gotten worse, but again, they might just be the same team as last year, which was surprisingly good. And I think they're going to have the same expectations coming in this year, so that could make them just surprisingly good again.
And the
Losing
thing is,
Shaq Barrett's a big deal, too.
It
They
is like the
still
defense
have
got
a-
worse. That's
Yeah,
true.
they still have a draft, and they can still sign people. So I'm not like, to me, this is not the end-all be-all for
Yeah, they
these teams.
solidified the team re-signing Baker and Evans. I think that is the smartest move they could
Right.
do. But
And
can
let's be honest-
they get better from there with the draft and free agency? That's
I
what we
think
gotta-
I think what we saw with Baker last year, that is the real Baker. Mayfield. What we saw with Baker, in his best year in Cleveland, that is Baker Mayfield. It's not the low end Baker.
3
And I'm not
years
a
for
Baker
$100 million is a lot of money to throw at somebody like Baker.
I disagree. Look at what Kirk got at 30 what, 6, 5?
Kirk
And
Cousins is,
he
he's
just
better
tore
than
his
Baker
Achilles.
Mayfield.
He just tore his Achilles. And he's old.
He's
That's
world
the thing.
better.
Like, if he comes back solid off the Achilles, this offense has all the weapons. Like, you already were set up with Bijan, Pitts, and London as 3 great weapons. And then basically, like, if I think about, I have 3 great weapons here that like should do everything. But then on the other side, you've now added an okay deep threat and screen boy in Rondale Moore and Darnell Mooney. Like,
I don't think the Achilles tear for Cousins is that big of a deal to heal from because it's not like you were using Cousins to rush. Like, if he has to
It's
run for
not
his
a
life, you better
major
hope he
deal.
holds on to the football.
now, like, it could affect him more than we think. Like, I have to see him come back. But if he comes back and he's fine or okay, like, it's still set up around him to do some
Yeah.
stuff.
I'll say this. Kirk Cousins tearing his Achilles worries me a hell of a lot less than Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles.
Agreed.
Why do you say that?
Aaron Rodgers still relies on his legs a lot.
He was actually more mobile, like in the pocket, at least more mobile than
Yeah.
Rodgers has not been that mobile of a quarterback in his career.
He
He
moves
will
not
roll
like
from
he's
time to
not a
time, left or
rusher, yeah.
right, but he's not like, I mean, he's not going to take off and run the way Steve
No,
Young
no,
used
no.
to.
no one's saying that, but like he is more of a like finesse guy in the pocket, and like he
does
is
like
more
to-
willing to like
Yeah.
if
He
things break
extends
down,
play.
he wants to move.
Yes.
He's still
That's-
looking to throw, but he wants
Yeah.
to move, as opposed to like someone who will just stand there and chuck it
Yeah.
in the middle of the pocket.
Or
He throws off his tippy toes a lot.
Stafford does that a lot, where like instead of rolling out because he's like slow and awkward with it, he will just stand there and take the hit and throw it where it needs. to.
Yeah. Or you could do what, like Cousins very well could do the Brady way of just saying, hey, when I'm about to get sacked, I'm just turtling and you can touch me and that's fine. And that's, whatever.
Right,
So-
like we got to see. Like again, I'm not going to give it 100% because I got to see what Kirk Cousins is after this injury. But if he comes back at 90% of what he was, this Atlanta team could be.
This team will
quite
be
good.
10, 11 wins.
It will be the one that you think can win the division, unless Bucks are surprisingly good.
Yeah, I would bet the Falcons and the Panthers to be finished above the Bucks. Maybe I'm crazy, but I mean, for the sake of time,
I think the
Yeah.
Falcons are better. For sure. I think the
With
Falcons are
them,
better.
Mooney, like all like we said, all those are good things. Getting
We can
Rondale,
do-
all that's good stuff.
we
Let's
can
be
do
honest, they were immediately better after shedding Arthur Smith.
Agreed. Agreed. All the offseason moves they've
Yeah.
done from the top down, great moves for Atlanta.
and
Even
we
if
can
they kept Des Ritter, I'd be saying the same thing.
Agreed.
we can do this for next podcast because we're a bit against time. I'm not saying this to be hyperbole. I do think Baker Mayfield is the worst projected starting quarterback in the league.
The worst?
I mean,
Yeah,
there's not
Wholeheartedly
much else to talk about. We talked about my Panthers. We talked about
Yeah.
the Bucks. We talked about that. New Orleans hasn't really even made a fucking move this.
They can't.
Yeah.
They don't have.
I
They
would
did
rather
the
have-
same thing
They,
they do
they
every
literally like they're done. So like
Fair enough.
we've talked
Yeah.
everyone.
and we can
Yeah.
do it because I'd rather have Jimmy. I'd rather have Derek Carr. I'd rather there's I mean I could really go through the list. I really do think. I think I think Baker's better than Ritter. I'd rather
I
have
think-
Sam Howell.
Yeah. See, I just wholeheartedly disagree with that. And you're entitled to
You
that.
can, but
That you're entitled to that opinion. I'm entitled to mine, but you will never sway me, and that's how I feel on that.
I just want to give out examples of like guys I actually think are better because like if I'm right or wrong, at least I can stand on it. Like I truly believe that. I'm not just saying it.
I think Baker needs to be in a perfect situation. He needs a Mike Evans. He needs weapons. But
Minshew's better. Like these are actual real names. I feel like.
well, I will say this with Baker, it like that season he played, the last season in Cleveland, where it was just riddled with injuries.
Mhm.
I'm not a Baker fan. I'm not going to act like I cheer for this guy actively, but that I do not see that as what Baker Mayfield is. I really do think that was a fluke year where he was just severely hurt.
I am going to wrap up, but we did accidentally, because Donnie was transitioning, I think at some point was in the transitional point. We did kind of forget to talk about the Jets. So do you guys have like a 30-second pitch on the Jets?
Nope, we didn't.
Um,
I
the-
said Jets. That's all I needed to say.
yeah,
the Jets for me, they're the same team in my opinion. Like pretty much the same team. Well, they have Tyrod, which is a good backup. So if Aaron Rodgers does suck or goes down again, that's cool. And they have 2 new offensive tackles. And
I was going to say, didn't they do what they should have done though? They showed up the backup quarterback, which if they would have done last year, maybe they win 9 or 10 games. And they showed up the offensive line, 2 of the biggest weaknesses that shone through because of injuries.
And Kinlaw, another big move. Like they just did what they had to do. My thing with the Jets is I don't trust coaching for one, and I do not think Aaron's going to be the same guy.
I will say, if this was a good coaching staff, this team wins like 11 games.
I still like the Tyron Smith signing to help Aaron Rodgers, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're rating Morgan Moses enough. He's been a starting tackle in the league for a long time for a reason. And then, John Simpson's a decent signing.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, I'm being 100% serious here. I would have called Bill Belichick yesterday. I'd still call him today. I'd be on hold with Bill Belichick right now. I think Saleh is the worst coach in the league. I would do almost anything to get rid of him.
No, he's not the worst.
I think he's close.
He's down there, but he's not the worst.
I will say this to your point, Logan. I do think that, we are talking about billionaires and they genuinely are known to have quite the ego. And after what Belichick did to them, even though it's been 25 years damn near, I still think that matters to them.
Oh, yeah.
What he did 25 years long to them of just, beating them, that does matter.
In all honesty, he wouldn't be my guy. It would be Mike Vrabel if I actually had to sign one. I'm just saying, I really like the Jets' talent, but their coaching staff is the worst in the league to me.
And catering to Aaron Rodgers is stupid, especially when now we don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be the same player that he was.
Case in point, they're already trying to get rid of Alan Lazard, who they just brought in last year. So,
of course,
yep.
That's a good note to end on. When we got all the way to Alan Lazard, then it's time to wrap up. Evan fought through. He almost gave me his illness somehow. I almost lost my voice midway through this one. This has been one of our longest podcasts. I thought it was very efficient, though. I feel like we went through a lot very quickly. So hopefully what we can do is break this show up into divisions, and then you guys can watch the clips, and we might be able to get some good viewership. Like I said, we got a sponsorship coming up. We got DraftKings. We got spring football, which will be fun. We got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, and I'm ready for it. I think
best ball.
Oh yeah, we got all the content we need. Honestly.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll be back with you guys.
Let's see what the NFL gives us, and then NBA playoffs too.
Yeah.
Oh, by the time we go, March Madness will have started. Oh shit.
To Donnie's point, basketball is getting bigger. Like we got plenty of stuff. So we're definitely going to be coming once a week, if not twice a week. With like I say, spring football, the UFL is coming up. We got plenty of stuff to talk about. With that being said, I want to thank the guys for joining me tonight. Like I said, we went for 2 hours. Don't want to keep them any longer. Good night, guys. Take care. Be safe.
Peace out.
Have a good night, everybody.
We don't get to go Bears?
Yeah, we're not in the middle of the season.
You're not keeping the faith anymore, Evan. I'm disappointed.
There'll be time for that.